They betrayed him. But now he hunts. Wolverine Issei. Unleashed. What if Issei became Wolverine?
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Became Wolverine and Took Revenge on Fallen Angels movie. Before we start, please go support Luis Darth 4236 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei is a mutant who lost his parents because of some fallen angels sent by Gabriel, but he discovers that he is a mutant and has the power of regeneration and even draws claws to use them as weapons, and now he will be an anti-hero known as Wolverine. Chapter 1, Discovering Origin. We are in the city of Kuo where we see a boy in the cemetery seeing two graves, and it was night. The silhouette in the place was a boy named Issei Hyoudou, who is now an orphan because his parents were killed when he had gone to school, and when he returned he found his parents dead. Issei. I miss them, it's not fair, sad. Issei left some flowers on his parents' graves and then left the cemetery as he had to return home. He was walking, but then some guys with black wings appeared. They were fallen angels. Fallen angel. Wow, I see the brat is still alive after all, mockingly. Fallen angel 2. Remember the boss asked us to kill the brat so he wouldn't interfere with his plans, mocking. And that they create spears of light where Issei can barely dodge them, but he heard that they came to kill him. Issei. Leave me alone, what did I do to you? Crying. Fallen angel 3. Don't take it the wrong way, we're just following orders, seriously. Then they attack him, but Issei can barely dodge, and then they attack him again, but Issei felt very frustrated, and then he clenches his fist tightly, but then some claws come out of his fist. Issei realizes this and clenches his other hand, bone claws coming out of it, and he takes advantage of it to attack, damaging several fallen angels. In that they create spears of light to see what results they have, and in that Issei is pierced by the spears of light and falls to the ground. Fallen angel. He wanted to be a hero, but it was no use, mocking. At that Issei gets up and after retracting his claws he removes his spears but falls to the ground but gets up again, and in that his wounds mysteriously regenerate. The fallen angels seeing this quickly became terrified, but Issei was now like an angry wild animal, and then he takes out his claws again where he runs, and the fallen angels scream. Screams of horror were heard and a lot of blood was splattered. When only one fallen angel remained, Issei approaches the fallen angel. Fallen angel. Please have mercy, dying. Issei. I will not forgive them for killing my parents, who was the one who gave the order, speaks, cold. Fallen angel. It was Gabriel who gave the order to kill you and your family so that you would not interfere with his plans, dying. Issei with a dull look digs his claws into his neck, thus ending his life and then burning the place to leave no evidence. Issei. I swear that one day you'll pay Gabriel, cold. He left the area and then returned to his old home because he needed to leave as soon as possible before someone saw him. After that, Issei returned home and went to his parents' old room where he found a letter. Paper. Son, if you are reading this, it means that your father and I have already died, but I want to confess something. You are not human, you are a mutant, and no, not like the mutants in the movies, but mutants do exist, but they are hidden from society for fear of being discriminated against. And mutants look like people, but they have something called the X gene, which is a gene that gives mutants powers. Yours is to grow claws from your knuckles to defend yourself. We regret not being with you knowing the truth, but someday you will meet other mutants, but be strong for us, keep going, don't let the past torment you. With love, your mother, Mickey Hyoudou. P.S. Issei, we left you something in your room, it's a last gift from us. When Issei finished reading the letter he was in shock, he was a mutant, but after that he shed a few tears and went to his room. On his bed there was a box with a note and then Issei opened it and saw what it contained. What came in the box was a latest model iPad. Issei would treasure it as the last memory of his parents and then he went to sleep. Issei goes for a walk through the forest to think, but now he knows he is a mutant, but he swears to finish off that bastard Gabriel for killing his parents. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Getting to know the Asgardians. Previously Issei had lost his parents because of some fallen angels, but in a fit of rage, he awakened some powers which were to take out bone claws from his fists, but not only that, but he also had regeneration, since he was able to heal from some mortal wounds. But things don't end there since Issei discovered that he was not human but a mutant because his parents left him a letter confessing the truth that he was a mutant. Present. We see Issei in a forest, but there was a river nearby since it was his place to think and he could be quiet without anyone bothering him. Issei was remembering everything, but he still had planned his revenge against Gabriel for killing his parents. He would not rest until he fulfilled his objective. Issei then takes out his claws and starts training so as not to be weak. He was counting on regeneration and his claws, but he felt he could do more. After 4 hours of training Issei had finished, but then he bathed in the river since it was another of his hobbies. When he finished this he got dressed and headed home, but then someone appeared in front of him, it was a man with a beard and dark clothes. Issei. Hey sir, who are you? Serious and curious. Hello young man, in case you ask who I am Odin, the leader of Asgard, smiling. Issei. Wait, Odin, Thor's father, the god of thunder, surprised. Odin. That's right, little one, but why are you alone where your parents are? Serious and curious. Issei sheds tears as he remembers his parents. Odin, seeing this, realizes. Odin. I see, I'm sorry about what happened, sadly. Issei just falls on the ground and bursts into tears, but Odin does the best thing and hugs Issei. Odin. I'm sorry for your loss, kid. I shouldn't have mentioned that. Sadly. After Issei calmed down, Odin would speak again. Odin. Hey, I saw your training and your skills from afar, but I'm surprised that you generate bone claws and regenerate. What are you? Serious and curious. Issei. I'm a mutant, seriously. Odin. Wait, a mutant, I've heard about them, some of them helped us in the war years ago, but I see that they remain, but who knows where they are, seriously. Issei. I need to be stronger to break my limits, but at this rate I won't achieve anything, frustrated. Odin. Don't worry, that's what I'm here for. I came to take you with me, smiling. Issei. Wait, how is that, confused? Odin. It's easy, I saw your potential and spirit of a warrior. I want you to accompany me so that you become stronger to defeat your enemies and overcome adversities, smiling. Issei thought about it and in that he could gain more power to kill Gabriel, but he knows that his training will take years. Issei. I accept Odin-sama, seriously. Odin. Well said, let's go to Asgard, smiling. So Odin and Issei go to Asgard where Issei will live for a while. In Asgard. In the castle we see how Issei appears next to Odin where he sees that the castle was big. Odin. Welcome to my palace Issei, smiling. Issei. It's incredible, I see that being a god has its advantages, surprised. Odin. And you haven't even seen Mount Olympus since I know what that place is like, seriously. At that moment, some footsteps are heard where Issei turns around and sees a muscular man with red hair. Ignore the hammer. He was the son of Odin who was the very god of thunder Thor. Thor. Father, I see you're back, smiling. But then Thor notices Issei and turns to look at him. Thor. Father, who is the child who accompanies you, serious and curious. Issei. My name is Issei Hyoudou, you must be Thor, the god of thunder, excited. Thor. That's right, little one, but cool, what are you doing here? Serious and curious. Odin. Well son, I brought him to be part of our faction, but his story isn't pretty, so to speak. Well Issei, tell us, but if you don't want to, that's fine, seriously. Issei. No, I must be honest, you helped me, sadly. In that Issei tells his story of how his parents were killed by fallen angels and how he awakened his powers and that he is a mutant. This amazed Odin and Thor, but the god of thunder felt sorry for Issei for having lost his parents. Since that day Issei lives in Asgard where he got along well with Odin and Thor. But Issei met the daughter of Odin and the sister of Thor, who was the goddess of deception Loki. But she had a cold attitude towards Issei at first. She did not accept him in Asgard, but with the passage of time, she accepted him as one of the family. One day Thor puts his hammer on the table to see if Issei is worthy of lifting it. Issei concentrates on that and then lifts the Mjolnir, implying that he is worthy. Thor. Wow, you are worthy, surprised. At that Issei returns the hammer to Thor and at that Issei would continue with his training. 10 years later. Issei had grown quite a bit, he was no longer a child but a handsome young man, but he had some changes. Issei had good muscles for his age. Issei's hair had grown, but it had a particular shape like the ears of a wild beast, but he had also grown a beard. Something a bit like this. Issei mastered his mutant powers more, now he could take out his claws more and also improved his regeneration and has other abilities such as wild instincts, the ability to detect beings through energy. His personality was serious and reserved, but he often distanced himself from people, and Issei was also chivalrous since he was not a pervert, although Odin had done some tricky things. His relationship with Odin and Thor is like a great comrade. Now we see Issei training where Odin appears. Odin. Issei, I have to talk to you, seriously. Issei. What happens to Odin-san, curious. Odin. I saw your process with the claws, but I have a way for you to improve, smiling. Issei. How, curious. Odin. It's easy, I'll give you metal, but not just any metal, I'll give you Hyoudou, smiling. Issei. Wait, Hyoudou, the same magic metal as Thor's hammer, surprised. Odin. That's right, but don't worry about being heavier. I'll cast a spell on you so you don't weigh so much. You'll also be like a sponge, since you'll be able to absorb magical attacks and return them. Don't worry about poisoning, since Yuru is a magical metal, smiling. Issei thought about it, but this could benefit him a lot. Issei. I accept, seriously. Odin then calls the dwarves to bring the Yuru in containers. Issei gets into a capsule with water where Odin injects him with some hoses that are connected to a machine. Then they put the Yuru in the machine where they injected into Issei. Issei endured as much as he could until after a few minutes the process ended, but Issei fainted. When he woke up he felt different and then Odin was in front of him. Odin. It's ready, you already have an Yuru skeleton, and I've done the spell now you don't weigh so much, go ahead and take out your claws, seriously. At that Issei takes out his claws, but when he takes them out they are no longer made of bone but metallic. Issei saw his new claws and they were incredible, they were no longer made of bone. Issei. Wow, it's amazing and how sharp they are, serious and curious. Odin. You could even break Thor's hammer, but now what are you going to do? Seriously. Issei. I must return to my hometown since I want to do some things, seriously. Odin. Okay, seriously. In that Odin takes Issei back to Kuo where he saw his parents' old house, and in that he would enter, and saw that quite a bit of time had passed. After cleaning his house, it was beautiful, and he decided to remodel it. The house no longer looked old, and now had a more modern look and was bigger. Issei then went to rest since he had a tiring day, since he had to get used to his new Yuru claws. Now Issei has more powerful claws, but he must master his new power. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 3. Master of Mechanics and Carpentry. Previously, after Issei discovered his powers, he met the god Odin, who is the leader of Asgard, and he brought him to Asgard where he met Thor, and then spent 10 years where Issei now better masters his regeneration. But not only that, but when he grew up he received a gift from Odin and received Yuru, which was the magical metal that Thor's hammer was made of, and he returned to Kuo. Present. It was a new day, and we see Issei waking up and doing his daily routine which was exercising shirtless showing off his physique. Imagine him younger. Issei continued with his physical training until he eventually stopped and went to prepare breakfast. After finishing his breakfast he took a shower and put on dark clothes since it was his favorite color. Imagine he has a beard and long hair. After that he went for his motorcycle that he had bought which was a classic. Issei puts on his helmet and then goes for a ride on the motorcycle since he learned to use it recently. Issei taking a walk where he saw that the city had some changes since he left like some new places. But he saw that the Kuo Academy was now mixed, but since he had the features of an adult and was super smart, he graduated early since he went to a school in Asgard and graduated early because of his intelligence, and he stops for a moment and sees something on a wall with advertisements. He saw an advertisement that Kuo Academy needed a mechanics and carpentry teacher. Issei. Wow, looks interesting, I'm an expert in mechanics, I'm going to work as a teacher, seriously. Then Issei went to Kuo Academy, but upon entering he saw that the girls were looking at him with heart-shaped eyes, while the boys were looking at him with envy. Issei showed a good resume, and from there he was hired as a mechanics teacher. Later. The students went to the mechanics class, and then Issei came out with a serious look. Issei. Greetings kids, I'm Issei Hyoudou, I'm your new mechanics and carpentry teacher. You learn about mechanics, whether it's repairs, I'll even teach you how to build things with what you have, and I'll teach you carpentry so that in case you have broken furniture you can fix it, seriously. The students nod and saw the mechanics workshop with the tools and future projects. Issei. If you have questions, ask them, seriously. Boy. Because he is a teacher because he looks like a student, serious and curious. Issei. It's because I graduated early from school because of my intellect. Any other questions, seriously. Girl. You have a girlfriend, curious. Issei. No, I don't have a girlfriend and that's none of your business, and if you ask why I have a beard, it's simple that it grew because of my efforts, and I grew up in a forest, seriously. Boy 2. Excuse me, teacher, and that I accept being a mechanics teacher, serious and curious. Issei. Because I am an expert in mechanics and it is one of my hobbies, but to learn mechanics, you must first know how to use the tools and the necessary safety so that you do not get hurt because it is a risky task, not rather dangerous if you do not have the necessary knowledge, serious. Girl 2. How will the class start, curious? Issei. First you have to learn every tool you are going to use when you are going to work in mechanics, seriously. And that the class would pass normally where Issei explained the use of each tool. After that Issei takes them to where there was a lot of wood. Issei. We'll start with carpentry since you should know how to fix or assemble furniture the day you buy it, seriously. On the other side of the academy. We see a girl with red hair and blue eyes, it was Rias Gremory, the most beautiful girl in the academy. But what no one knows is that she is actually a demon and some other girls are demons too. Rias felt a strange energy that entered the academy, but she didn't know who it was. Then that would come Akeno Himejima, Ria's best friend, who had black hair tied in a ponytail and violet eyes. Akeno. Rias-chan, there's a new teacher who's very handsome and about our age, but with a beard, smiling. Rias. Seriously, and you know her name, serious and curious. Akeno. Yes, his name is Issei Hyoudou, but despite being our age, he is a teacher and has a beard, smiling. Rias. What material it gives, serious and curious. Akeno. Mechanical but teaches what is necessary, smiling. So both of them start to investigate who Issei was, but they don't know that he already knew that they were watching him. Later. Issei leaves the academy since classes had ended for the day and goes on his motorcycle to do some market shopping. After finishing this he went back home to store the things he had bought. But then he goes out to exercise where he runs a few kilometers since it was another of his hobbies. At night. Issei was in a park drinking a Red Bull after running several kilometers since he had more resistance than a human. But then his super sense is activated where he dodges an attack and sees the person responsible was a fallen angel. Issei. Don't seek the old bird, serious. Don't seek. As you told me, annoyed. Issei. What did you hear or you need a hearing aid, mocking. At that Donaseek attacks him, but Issei dodges it and at that Donaseek throws many spears of light at him, packing Issei. Donaseek. Fool, arrogant. But then Issei gets up as if nothing happened and then he takes off his spears and breaks them by crushing them and then his wounds regenerate. Issei. You can't kill me with that cheap trick, now you'll suffer more pain, cold. At that Issei clenches his fists where his claws come out ready to kill. Issei then gets into a 4 position like a predator to his prey and then he runs and then he jumps and with his claws he digs them into Donaseek's stomach. Donaseek. Screaming in pain. At that Issei withdraws his claws from Donaseek's stomach and with that Issei cuts off Donaseek's wings with a quick movement. Donaseek. Feeling his wings being cut. Issei. Now to prepare the chicken, mockingly. And that Issei makes quick movements where when he finishes Donaseek falls to pieces. When Issei finishes, he retracts his claws and then leaves, but he puts the remains of the Donaseek in a bag. Then he gets rid of the bag by throwing it into a bottomless pit so that no one suspects. Issei returns home where he started preparing dinner and then went to the living room to watch television. The next day. Issei was giving his mechanics and carpentry class where he saw that some were good in the class. Issei. I see some have potential in this, seriously. At that moment, one of the students approached him. It was Kaneko Taoju. Ignore the cat ears and tail. Kaneko. Issei-sensei, I've already finished my carpentry work, shows her wooden kitten. Issei examines everything and sees that it was very well built. Issei. I see you did a good job, you're the first, you definitely passed, seriously. And that he gives his rating to Kaneko and then he went to evaluate other projects, but there were some that made good designs in carpentry. For example, a student had built a cart to carry things. Issei. I see it's functional, you passed, seriously. The student smiles with pride as he put in the effort to build it whose name is Saji Genshiro. Saji. Thank you teacher, I tried hard to build this cart, smiling. Issei. How much weight can he carry, serious and curious. Saji. Well, it can hold more than 30 kilos since I made it out of a fairly strong wood, smiling. Issei. Yes, from what I see you did a great job, seriously. Issei continued looking at the projects they had achieved, but only a few had done well. Issei liked his job as a mechanics and carpentry teacher, but he doesn't know that Rias Gremory and Akeno Himejima are watching him. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 4 I will not enter any entourage. Previously Issei after returning to his hometown after being given Yuru for his skeleton and his claws were now more powerful since Yuru was a magical metal. But he entered the Kuo Academy, but since he looks like an adult, he entered as a mechanics and carpentry teacher, where some students stood out and built some interesting projects. But he doesn't know that he is being watched by Rias Gremory, who is the heiress of the Gremory clan. Present. Issei was in his garage working on a classic car he had bought since he was a fan of classic cars and bought a 1968 Chevrolet Camaro. Issei was modifying the car's engine to make it faster and then he put bulletproof tires on it that are as resistant as racing tires. When Issei finished he came out but he didn't have a shirt on since he didn't wear one when he worked on the mechanics at home. Issei. Ready, I'm done, smiling. After that he went to take a shower to get rid of the sweat and when he finished he was already wearing his dark clothes. At that Issei gets into the car and sees the new screen he bought and installed it. Issei. Wow, it looks great despite being a classic, smiling. At that Issei starts the car and accelerates to leave the property and take a ride in his modified car. Then he put some good music on the screen that he installed. Issei. I'm not stupid, I know someone is watching me at work, seriously. He keeps driving through the city and then he went to the mall to buy some things. Issei gets out of the car and enters the mall, but he attracted a lot of attention from women because of how handsome he was. Issei. I don't know why they're looking at me so much, I have something on my face. He didn't pay attention to that and went to buy sportswear and some tools. After finishing his shopping, he went to the food court and went to eat at McDonald's and ordered a big banquet. Issei could eat a lot without gaining weight since he has a high metabolism, unlike Goku from Dragon Ball. Issei. Eating, seriously. At that Issei began to eat but in the distance someone was watching him, it was Rias. She watched Issei from a distance since he was the one who emanated the energy she felt the other day. After finishing eating, Issei threw the waste in the trash and then left the mall, but Rias follows him. When he gets into his car, he drives away from the estuaries, but he didn't know he was being followed. The next day. Issei was teaching his carpentry class and saw that some were already improving their carpentry skills. Issei. I see that you are improving and I have a new project for you, it is something simple, you must build a wooden ladder, but so that it does not get complicated here is an instruction, he gives each student an instruction. After that the class would end since the recess arrived, but in that Issei leaves the classroom, but in that a girl approaches him, it was Ais the princess of the academy. Issei. What do you want, serious? Ais. Issei-san, President Rias wants to talk to you at the occult club, would be. Issei. How are you, seriously? Then they went to the occult club where Rias, Akeno and Kaneko were, but then the girls saw Issei. Rias. I see you arrived, smiling. Issei. I don't have time for this, talk now, cold. Rias. Issei-kun, we want to tell you something. She is interrupted. Issei. I know you are all demons, seriously. Rias. Wait, how do you know, surprised. Issei. I'm not stupid, I know they were watching me, and I'm not human, nor a demon, angel, or fallen angel, seriously. Rias. So what are you, serious and curious? Issei. It's none of their business but what do you want, seriously? Rias. I want you to join my entourage, smiling. Issei, no serio. Rias. Wait, what did you say, confused. Issei. I said no, seriously. Rias. Because not, it would be. Issei. I am not anyone's servant and I will not be part of any demonic entourage, seriously. But that Issei leaves, leaving the girls in shock since he was not interested in joining any entourage. Later. Issei was in his Camaro driving, but he stops because he feels something in the park. He gets off but hears a woman crying and goes to see what's happening, and then he sees someone he recognizes as Rossweisse, a Valkyrie. Issei approaches Rossweisse to see what happens. Issei. Rossweisse, what do you have, serious? Rossweisse, seeing him, hugs him while he cries, even though he is somewhat distant, he doesn't like it at all, and then he hugs her to calm her down. Rossweisse. Auden-sama forgot about me, crying. Issei knew that Auden was somewhat forgetful, but in that he embraces her more. Issei. Rossweisse, it's not good that you cry so much, it will ruin your beautiful face. In fact, I have a solution, why don't you come to my house? Smiling slightly. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, I don't want to be a nuisance, sad. Issei. You're not, you're one of the few I trust, smiling slightly. So Issei takes Rossweisse home, and after that he went to prepare dinner since it was night. Hours later. Issei was sleeping in his room, but then Rossweisse entered his room, and then she lay down on Issei's bed, and she hugged him. Rossweisse. I love you, Issei-kun, blushing. She falls asleep next to him, but Issei didn't hear what Rossweisse said. What will happen? Watch it in the next chapter. Chapter 5. Issei's outfits and the Sekiryuutei appear. Previously, after giving his mechanics class, Issei is taken to the occult club, but he already knew that there were demons in the academy, but he made it clear that he is not interested in being part of any entourage. But when he returned home he met Rossweisse, a Valkyrie he met during his stay in Asgard, and he took her to his house. Present. It was a new day in the city of Kuoh, and we see Issei wake up, but then he felt someone hugging him, and when he looked he saw that it was Rossweisse who was wearing pink pajamas. Imagine she is asleep. Issei. At what point did she get into my bed, confused. But then he tried to get up, but he couldn't do it because she was hugging him like he was a stuffed animal. Issei. I don't deny that she is cute when she sleeps. At that Rossweisse began to wake up and looked around. Issei. Rossweisse, because you slept in my bed, serious and curious. Rossweisse. I didn't want to sleep alone, besides I always wanted to sleep with you, blushing. Issei. What do you mean? Confused. Rossweisse. You are one of the few who doesn't make fun of me for not having a boyfriend since I never had one, sadly. Issei. How are you, seriously? Rossweisse. And I feel a very warm sensation being next to you and I don't want to leave you, blushing. Issei. Well, that's fine, but if you're going to live here, you should also go to Kuo Academy with me, but since you're a bit older to be a student, you'll be a teacher, although I'm a mechanics and carpentry teacher, seriously. Rossweisse. Okay, I'll go as a teacher, smiling. So Issei went to the bathroom to bathe and then went to put on his dark clothes, but Rossweisse bathes and when she finished she was wearing a formal outfit. They arrive at the garage and Issei gets into the Camaro and then they go to the academy. Rossweisse introduces herself as a new teacher, but she made it clear that she wasn't interested in any students. Later. Issei was teaching his carpentry class while the students were working with wood and he saw that some were improving. Issei. I see that you are progressing, I like that if you continue like this later you will learn welding, smiling slightly. At that moment he saw that Kaneko couldn't stop looking at him. Issei. Oh, I already made it clear that I will not be part of any entourage. In this he continues giving his class where he saw that some already made some new tables. Later. Issei was in the occult club because he knows that they are still watching him and he didn't want to be observed. Issei. How many times must I repeat to you that I will not be part of any entourage and that she should stop watching me, seriously and pointing at Kaneko. Rias. I'm sorry Issei-kun, sad. Akeno. We just don't understand why you don't want to join, serious and curious. Issei. Like I said, I don't want to be in any entourage and they can't force me, seriously. At that point he leaves, but then he makes the gesture that he's watching them. More or less like this. Then Issei leaves the occult club, but he knows that they will still continue watching him. 4 hours later. Classes had ended for the day and Issei leaves in his car with Rossweisse, where they went to the mall where Rossweisse buys new clothes. Rossweisse. How do I look, smiling. Issei. Wow you are beautiful, blushing. Rossweisse. Thank you, blushing. After Rossweisse bought her clothes, they both went to eat something since they were hungry. Later. Issei was making a combat suit so as not to ruin his best clothes. Issei tries it on and it was appropriate for combat since it had a lot of flexibility. Issei. This suit is great now suit number 2, seriously. He takes off his suit and puts on suit number 2. Issei. Suit 2 is great now suit number 3, seriously. Then he takes off suit 2 and puts on suit number 3 that he designed. Issei. Yes, even though this suit is great, I will only use it when it is an extreme emergency, seriously. Then he starts training with suit number 3, but the gloves had a detail. The metal of the gloves are sliders so that the claws come out straight. Issei. I've already decided, I'll use this suit when necessary, seriously. Rossweisse enters but is surprised by the clothing Issei is wearing. Rossweisse. Issei-kun what are you using, curious. Issei. My combat suits I need an outfit necessary for combat so as not to ruin my clothes, seriously. Rossweisse. Oh I see, look at my combat outfit, it would be. At that she accesses her combat clothes. Rossweisse and Issei train where both gave their best. Issei. If you're afraid of hurting me, don't worry, I can regenerate, seriously. Then that both continue with the training where Issei used his claws to fight. After 3 hours of training, both finish, but Issei saw that his suit was made of a resistant material and then he takes out a watch. Issei stores his suit since the watch was not an ordinary one, since anything could be stored. Issei stores his suits and other watches and then goes to bathe to remove the sweat. The next day. We see a girl enter the academy, her name is Miku Nakano. Imagine that she wears the Kuo Academy female uniform. Miku was new at the academy, but there was something about her. She was the bearer of the Red Empress Dragon. Miku. I hope I fit in here, shy. At that Miku appeared in the room where many had unholy thoughts. Later. Miku was on the roof of the academy, but then she heard the voice of my dragon. Mine. Miku-chan I feel demonic energy here, it would be. Miku. So there are demons here, surprised. Mine. Yes, they are from the Gremory clan and the Sitri clan, it would be. Miku. Okay, it would be. Mine. But I detect 2 energies, but they are not from demons, it would be. Miku. Who could they be, would be. Mine. I don't know, it would be. So both continued talking, but Miku knows that there are demons in the academy. Issei. He was drinking a coke because he knows he shouldn't consume alcohol at the academy. Issei. I don't deny that this drink is tasty, seriously. Then he started eating his lunch, but next to him was Rossweisse eating her food. Hours later. Miku leaves the academy and went home, but then she activates her balance breaker because she detects problems, but she had a sword. Miku. Thank goodness I learned a lot from you, smiling, but it wasn't noticeable. Mine. Although you have mastered the balance breaker at 50%, you should learn more, it would be. Then Miku went to train to master her power. Now it is known that the carrier of the boosted gear is in the city, but Issei now has his combat suits. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 6. Spider-Man and more mutants. Previously, after giving his classes, Issei began to work on his combat suits, where he made 3 suits to use when using his new powers. However, he did not notice that a girl named Miku appears, who is the bearer of the boosted gear. Present. It was a night in the city where we see Issei, who was dating Rossweisse since she asked him out, and he accepted since at least he trusts her since he knew her a few years ago. We see how Rossweisse was dressed in a beautiful blue dress. Issei was wearing dark but formal clothing, which was a suit. Issei and Rossweisse were eating at a fancy restaurant since Issei wanted it to be a special evening. Rossweisse. You didn't know you had these tastes, blushing. Issei. I may be reserved, but I know how to cheer a woman up, seriously. Rossweisse. Hey, at the end of the afternoon, take me to the viewpoint. I have something important to tell you, blushing. Issei. Okay, well, let's start eating, seriously. Then the food would arrive where they started to eat, but Issei eats in a polite way so that they don't see him badly. Later. Issei was at the city viewpoint where Rossweisse approaches him. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, I must confess something, sadly. Issei. Tell me what's going on, confused. Rossweisse's eyes, and her eyes are covered by her silver hair. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, I love you, blushing. Issei is quite surprised by this revelation from the Valkyrie. Rossweisse. Issei, I love you, I like you a lot, you're always there for me, you always make me happy when I'm crying, you care about me, you're my soulmate, I want to be more than a friend, blushing. Issei then takes Rossweisse's hands to look at her. Issei. To tell the truth, Rossweisse, I like you too, because even though they say things about you, I don't care, although I wasn't interested in those things about love, at least I've known you for years, blushing. At that moment they both look at each other and then give each other a tender kiss on the lips. Issei. Rossweisse-chan, do you want to be my girlfriend, blushing. Rossweisse. Yes, blushing. In that, both of them kiss again, but from a distance, Rias sees them, but she became very jealous of what she saw as Issei kissed Rossweisse. Rias. He's mine, jealous. She leaves unseen as she didn't want to mess with him. The next day. Issei began to wake up and saw Rossweisse, but there was a detail, she was naked, this made him blush a lot. Rossweisse. Good morning, Issei, smiling. Issei. Rossweisse, because you're naked, blushing. Rossweisse. I like to sleep without clothes, but the reason why I wear pajamas sometimes is because of the cold, blushing. Issei. Well, love, we have to take a bath since we have to go to the academy, seriously. At that point they both got up and went to take a shower and get dressed and then go to the academy. They went to the academy to give classes, and while hands entered their respective classrooms to give classes. Later. Issei was watching the students' progress in carpentry, and then he approached where Miku was, who had built a nightstand. Issei. I see you did well, Miku, and that you have only been at the academy for a short time, seriously. Miku. Thank you, Issei-sensei, smiling. Issei then went to see if others managed to progress in the subject. Later. Issei was dressed in his dark clothes as he uses it for the supernatural. Issei was hunting rogue demons so they wouldn't kill people, and thanks to his regenerative factor he didn't suffer much damage. He found a refuge for renegade demons and takes out his claws to kill them. When he finished this he came out, and thanks to the material of his suit the blood was not visible. Later on. New York City. We see a guy in a red and blue spider-themed suit. That's right, Toby's Spider-Man is here. At that the arachnid hero stops and takes off his mask, revealing his face. His name was Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, who was bitten by a radioactive spider giving him spider powers, but he went through a lot of things. His parents died when he was a child. When he grew up he obtained his powers, but when he used them irresponsibly he lost his Uncle Ben. His mentor and friend Norman Osborn became the Green Goblin and wanted to kill him, but when he tried to kill him with the Spider-Man glider he was able to dodge it, but Norman ended up dead and Harry thought he killed him. His other friend Dr. Otto Octavius had become a villain because of some mechanical arms, and the woman he loved so much left him for another man. Now we see Peter on the roof of a building where he began to think about many things. Peter. I've had enough with many people treating me badly, but they don't understand that I don't want problems, seriously. At that point he puts his mask back on to continue his patrol to see if he can find Otto. Back with Issei. After classes end for the day we see Issei and Rossweisse get into Issei's classic Camaro and go for a ride without knowing that something was watching them. Unknown location. We are located at a base where we see a bald man in a wheelchair. His name was Charles Xavier alias Professor X, who has mental powers, but he is the leader of the X-Men, who are a group of mutants. But then someone comes in who is Anne-Marie Rogue. Anne. Professor, what are you doing, serious and curious? Charles. I found another mutant, he observes, showing the computer. At that Anne saw that it was Issei and saw that he had the power of claws and a healing and regenerative factor. But then Jean Grey comes in, who was watching everything closely. Jean. Who is he, serious and curious? Charles. He's another mutant like us. I saw that his name is Issei Hyoudou, smiling. After that we see the other members of the X-Men enter and see Issei on the computer, and the first to speak is Colossus. Colossus. I see he's a mutant like us, seriously. Charles. From what I see, he's in Kuo City, Japan, seriously. Anne went to another room where she takes out a picture of Spider-Man since she secretly loves him. Anne. One day we will be together, my little spider, blushing. After that she kisses the photo since she loved Spider-Man, but she knew who was under the mask. Now it is known that there are more mutants, but Issei does not know that he will be recruited later by the group that will pass. See it in the next chapter. Chapter 7 Angelic Visit. Previously Issei had a date with Rossweisse where both finally confessed what they felt for each other and both gave each other their first kiss and became boyfriend and girlfriend without knowing that Rias Gremory was watching them. But Issei doesn't know that there are other mutants who saw his abilities and plan to go looking for him. Present. We are in the city of Kuo where we see Issei who was kissing Rossweisse. She enjoyed being with the man she loved so much. Rossweisse. I finally have a boyfriend and he's the man of my dreams, blushing. Issei. At least you are the woman I trust the most and I love women with strong character, blushing. Rossweisse. Hey, what if we go out to eat something? I'm hungry, blushing. Issei. Of course, smiling slightly. Then they both got into the Camaro and went to eat at a fast food restaurant that was near the house. Later. After Issei and Rossweisse finished eating, they went to the movies to see a movie which was Godzilla and Kong. The New Empire. Elsewhere. We see Peter who was at the planetarium because of the party they had organized, but he came as the photographer. Peter went because the photographer they hired couldn't come, but the following happened. But if that were not enough, something else happens. Then John Jameson announces that he and Mary Jane will be married, but Peter is forced to take the photo. The Issei. Issei goes out to hunt renegade demons with his black suit and found a place where there were renegade demons and then he takes out his claws. Issei. There will be a skewer special today, smiling maliciously. At that point he runs on all fours like a beast and then he begins to kill all the renegade demons there are. Moments later. Issei returns home after his massacre against the renegade demons and Rossweisse was waiting for him to have dinner. Peter. He tries to use his powers, but he couldn't use them at all since the web doesn't come out and he tries to climb a wall, but he falls. Moments later. Peter was in a house that he could have won in a competition, but he didn't understand what was happening to him. However, at that moment he heard a voice and turned around and saw who was there. It was a bald man in a wheelchair. Charles. Greetings, I'm Charles Xavier Aka Professor X, smiling. Peter. Wait, I heard about you who has the power to read minds, seriously. Charles. That's right Peter, but you see, I came to see you because I sense you have problems, seriously. Peter. It's just that I'm losing my powers, I don't know what's happening to me, sadly. Charles. Ah, no wonder you fell many times, but you see, Peter, the reason is that the problem is not physical, but here, pointing his head. Peter. What are you trying to say? Confused. Charles. The problem is psychological, Peter, I could see your memories since I have the power to see people's memories just by thinking about it. I saw that you have many problems like you have debts, you have problems at university because you look tired and your grades are low, you lost your pizza delivery job, you don't get paid at the Daily Bugle, the woman you love left you for another man, your best friend hates you, and your mentor became a villain, seriously. Peter. I don't know why everything is going wrong for me, sadly. Charles. Peter, I know that being a superhero and being a normal person is not easy, and I saw that that girl doesn't want anything with you, you see Peter, maybe she wasn't the one for you, seriously. Peter. What are you trying to say? Curious. Charles. Peter, you just need someone to talk to, and that's why I'm here to give you advice, but I know you'll find love in someone other than Mary Jane, because you need someone who understands you and is with you through thick and thin. Go ahead and let it all out, smiling. Peter. Thank you, Professor X, smiling slightly. Charles. You're welcome, that's what I'm here for. I'm a mentor and guide for anyone who needs it, smiling. At that Charles takes out a device and then opens a portal. Charles. How about we talk at my mansion? Don't worry, I've got everything under control. Smiling. So they both enter the portal, but Peter doesn't know that he will meet someone better than Mary Jane. The next day with Issei. Issei was teaching classes as usual until he eventually took those who had already learned carpentry to welding. Issei. As you know, welding is more complicated than carpentry since you have to work with metal, seriously. In this, he shows you a video so that you can learn a little about welding. Issei. Meanwhile I will be supervising that they do not do anything stupid, serious. So Issei spent the day giving classes and when it was time to leave he went with Rossweisse to do training. The two went to train in a remote area and Issei uses the yellow suit to carry out his training. Later. In the occult club we see how Rias was still remembering how Rossweisse became Issei's girlfriend, she got jealous because of that. Rias. That Valkyrie got ahead of me, would be. That's where Akeno would come in to talk to Rias. Akeno. Rias, I've noticed that the number of renegade demons has decreased, it would be. Rias. Seriously, surprised. Akeno. And no, Sona didn't do it since the one who did it cut the renegade demons as if they were pieces of meat, it would be. Rias. Who would do something like that, would be. Akeno. I don't know, it would be. Rias. Hey, have you noticed anything strange? Curious. Akeno. Well, apart from the fact that there aren't that many rogue demons, I do detect that the Sekiryuutei is here, it would be. Rias. That is, the carrier of the boosted gear, would be. Akeno. That's her name, it's Miku, but that's all I know, would be. Rias. I see, it would be. So they continued talking, but they didn't know who was killing the renegade demons. The Issei. He was walking through the streets, however at that moment he feels that someone was watching him and sees a beautiful woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. Issei. Gabriel-chan, surprised. Issei knew who the girl was since he knew her during his years in Asgard when there was no training and he met Gabriel's brother Michael, but he knew that God is dead. The blonde then runs to hug Issei and he begins to accept the hug. Gabriel. Issei-kun, how much have you grown? Smiling. Issei. I'd say quite a bit, but Gabriel-chan, what brings you here and how is your brother? Curious. Gabriel. Michael is fine Issei-kun, but thanks for the idea of the clones so the paperwork can be finished faster, smiling. Issei, me base en Ellen I'm de Naruto Serio. Gabriel. I see and hey, you already have a girlfriend, curious. Issei. If it's Rossweisse-chan, you know her, seriously. Gabriel. I see, hey Issei-kun, I want an ice cream, buy me one, curious. Issei. It's okay since at least I met you again, smiling slightly. Then they went for ice cream where Issei paid for it since Gabriel was his guest. When he returns home, Rossweisse was waiting for him but was surprised to see Gabriel since he hadn't seen her for a while. Gabriel. Issei-kun, I want to talk to Rossweisse alone, smiling. Issei. Okay well I go to my garage since I have things to do, serious. Issei went to the garage to work since he had things to do. Gabriel. I found out that you're Issei's girlfriend, congratulations, but I must tell you something, I love him too, blushing. Rossweisse, like surprised. Gabriel. I always loved him since he doesn't see me in a perverted way and we often went out before they became boyfriends, but I don't want to fight with you since it won't solve anything, what if you share it with me, blushing. Rossweisse. I see that what you say is true, that's fine, but if we are going to share it, we will both give it love equally, blushing. The Issei. This one was modifying a car that was a classic Mustang. Issei then finishes making improvements to the Mustang to make it as fast as a Lamborghini. Issei. Classics never go out of style, smiling slightly. He continued working, but he doesn't know that later he will meet the X-Men, who will happen. See him in the next chapter. Chapter 8 observed. Previously we saw Issei who after spending time with his girlfriend Rossweisse, he met again with Gabriel, who is the archangel of the angel faction. But in Peter's case, after losing his powers, he receives a visit from Professor X, who will help him with his psychological problem, so that he does not continue to suffer. Present. It was another day in the city of Kuoh and we see Issei in the house. He was training with Rossweisse. There were no classes that day because it was the weekend. Gabriel had gone out to do some shopping since Issei asked him to go buy some things for dinner. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, I'm glad I have a boyfriend, and that's you. You don't know how happy you made me, blushing. Issei. I didn't want to see them make fun of you for not having a boyfriend, but now you have one, seriously. After training Issei put on his yellow suit because he felt problems and went to see what was happening. He went to see and saw that they were mutant monsters and then he decided to finish them off. When Issei wears his yellow suit he will be called Wolverine. Wolverine. You're going to wish you were never born cold. And that he forms a fist to take out his claws to finish off the mutants. And that he launches himself against the monsters in order to kill them and prevent them from killing people. And that some of the monsters attack him, but Wolverine fights against them and in a moment of carelessness, he cuts off the heads of several of them. When there were only 3 left, Wolverine showed no mercy to them and finished them off. Wolverine. I must admit this is new and they are not supernatural, seriously. He left the place to go with his girlfriend Rossweisse since he had dinner with her that night. Elsewhere. We see a woman with Japanese features, but we see how claws grow on her fingers. It was Yuriko alias Lady Teethstrick. But she was not alone, but was accompanied by another mutant whose name is Ophelia alias Viper. Yuriko. What are we doing here? Would be. Ophelia. You see, honey, I've been watching and there's another mutant watching, showing something on a screen. Wolverine is seen killing the mutant monsters with his claws. Yuriko, that looks like adamantium wood. Ophelia. It isn't because I know the difference, but I don't know what type of metal it is, it would be. Yuriko, what do you mean wood? Ophelia. I saw that you were very interested, how about you go for it? Smiling. Yuriko. But what will you do? Serious and curious. Ophelia. I want a handsome man like the spider, showing a picture. And that it shows an image of Spider-Man where Ophelia seemed to get excited when she saw Spider-Man. Ophelia. Spiders and snakes are poisonous, smiling. Yuriko. Always with your strange tastes, it would be. They continue watching Wolverine to know what they plan next with him. Mansion of the X-Men. Charles was in the training room where we see Peter in a training suit while Charles watched. Charles. You see Peter, you just have to believe in yourself, remember why you are Spider-Man, seriously. Peter then remembered why he became Spider-Man, so that many would not go through the same pain he went through, but also because he wanted to be a symbol of hope. But then after trying many times he doesn't succeed, but when he was about to give up Charles spoke to him. Charles. Peter, even though powers are a gift and a curse at the same time, sometimes power corrupts unless you know how to use it, but even if you have a difficult life, giving up is not an option, and that's why Peter believes in you, many have faith in you, smiling. Peter then tries again, where he tries again to throw a spiderweb, and to his surprise he succeeds. Peter. I did it, shocked. Charles. Keep training and you'll get them back, smiling. Peter continued training until he finally regained his powers. Charles. Peter, I have a gift for you. It was created by one of the best designers, gives him a box. Peter opens the box where he sees that there was a new suit and went to take a shower and then puts on the new suit. Spider-Man. Wow, that's great, surprised. Charles. Peter, that suit has a super resistant material, it is fireproof, gunshot proof, stab proof, etc. and the lenses of your mask have facial recognition, camera, night vision and infrared vision, smiling. Spider-Man. Wow, thanks Professor X, smiling, but it wasn't noticeable. Charles. You're welcome, how about we celebrate with a nice soda, smiling. Then the two went to get a soda, but Charles was proud of having been able to help Peter. The Issei. He returned to his home where Rossweisse was waiting for him with Gabriel, and both of them hugged him, each one hugging Issei's arm. Issei. Girls, what's for dinner? Smiling. Gabriel. We made some bowls of chicken ramen for dinner, smiling. Issei. My favorite, smiling. And that the three sit down to eat where Issei said that he used the yellow suit to fight mutants. This surprised his two girlfriends, but they understood that Issei only wears black clothes in cases of the supernatural. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, do you want to go out with us to the mall tomorrow? Curious. Issei. Of course girls, smiling. After finishing preparing dinner, Issei went to sleep with his girlfriends and both slept naked, but Issei didn't care. The next day. Issei was giving his mechanics class where he saw that Saji was repairing an air conditioning motor since Issei gave him instructions on how to do it right. Saji. Wow, now I know how to do repairs, smiling. Issei. Good job Saji, if you keep it up I'll teach you how to fix a car, smiling slightly. Saji. Yes, master, smiling. He continued working on that and then went elsewhere to see the progress of the girls from Kendo Katis and Murayama. Katis. I see we're doing well, smiling. Murayama. The teacher is our age, but he could have graduated early, but hey, I hope we pass the class, smiling. Issei approached them and saw that they had made a lot of progress in class. Issei. Good job girls, if you keep going like this you'll be able to pass the class, seriously. After that the class ended since it was break time, and Issei left the classroom and went to the teacher's lounge, where he went to get some coffee. Rossweisse. How did your class go, curious. Issei. Very well and you, curious. Rossweisse. Very well but it's annoying that these perverts are staring at me, it would be. Issei. I would kill them, but I don't want to attract attention, serious. Rossweisse. I know but well now that would be. Issei. Later we will go to the mall, smiling. After that, classes went on normally until they finished for the day and Issei went to look for Gabriel. Unknown location. We see Viper and Lady Teethstrick who were at the base that they used as a refuge but were still watching their targets, but Viper had something planned with Peter alias Spider-Man. Lady Teethstrick. How long will we be watching, would it be? Viper? Then we will have a meeting. First we have to plan everything, seriously. Lady Deathstroke. Well, I have my plan for my encounter with that claw boy, it would be. Viper. Well, you have your plan and I have mine, it would be. Then both began to plan to meet both superhero boys. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 9 Joining the X-Men. Previously we saw how Issei alias Wolverine had killed mutant monsters to prevent them from killing innocent people, but he did not realize that someone was watching him, and it was Yuriko alias Lady Deathstroke. But not only that, but also Ophelia alias Viper is watching Peter alias Spider-Man. Present. We are located in New York City where we see Spider-Man swinging in his new suit. Spider-Man, now that he had recovered his powers, knew his true purpose. To be the hero with his head held high. Spider-Man. Now I know my true purpose, thanks Uncle Ben and thanks Professor X, seriously. He keeps swinging through the city and then he sees a robbery in the distance and goes to stop it. I don't know. We see Issei who was in Asgard since Odin had called him and then the mutant would arrive at Odin's castle where he was waiting for him. Odin. I'm glad you came, Issei, smiling. Issei. Odin that occurs, curious. Odin. You see, Issei, I have bad news for you. Some mutant criminals are on the loose. I don't know where they are, but I must warn you that these are as dangerous as renegade demons or worse, seriously. He gives him several images of what these evil mutants look like. After that Issei returned to Kuo where his girlfriend Rossweisse was waiting for him and Gabriel had left because his brother had called her. The next day. It was another day in the city of Kuo, but then a car was thrown causing damage and people started running for their lives while screaming in fear. The cause of the damage was a huge guy with a huge helmet covering his entire face. Then Wolverine comes out in his yellow suit and sees his new enemy. Wolverine. What a mastodon, mockingly. What did you tell me, damn you? Annoyed. Wolverine. As you heard, mastodon, seriously. My name is Juggernaut now you will pay, annoyed. And that the mutant attacks Wolverine with his fists, but he easily defends himself from him. Juggernaut then grabs a car to attack Wolverine, but he was more agile than him. Wolverine then uses his claws to stab Juggernaut. Juggernaut. Screaming in pain. At that point the villain hits Wolverine sending him flying, but at that point Wolverine gets into a fighting stance. Wolverine. I'm going to kick your ass, cold. In that he attacks Juggernaut and in that he attacks the villain and in a careless moment, Wolverine kicks him in the crotch. And he throws good cuts at Juggernaut, but in that Wolverine digs his claws into Juggernaut's entire body and in that the villain is attacked by lightning and you can see the cause was a woman with brown skin and white hair. At that she launches a powerful blast that seriously injures Juggernaut until he is unconscious. Wolverine. Who are you, seriously? My name is Aurora alias Storm, smiling. Wolverine. You're just another mutant, aren't you? Seriously. Storm. Yes, and from what I see, you too would be. Wolverine. It's a long story, seriously. Storm. And if we talk somewhere else, it would be. Wolverine. But what will happen to him, seriously? Storm. Don't worry, I'll fix it, taking out a necklace. Wolverine. What is that? Seriously. Storm. It's a necklace that cancels powers, meaning Juggernaut won't be able to use his powers while he's wearing it, but only I can take it off him, it would be. He then locks Juggernaut in a capsule and takes him to a special prison. On Spider-Man. He was swinging through the city, but then he heard an attack and saw who was responsible. It was Shocker. Shocker. Wow, Spider-Man, what a new costume, seriously. Spider-Man. You'll see, Shocker, seriously. In that the villain uses his sonic cannons to attack the hero, but in that he defends himself against the Shocker then uses his sonic cannons to launch a car and it was going to crush a woman along with her baby. But Spider-Man uses his webs to stop the car before it crushes the woman and her baby. Shocker then attacks him from behind, where Spider-Man looks at him furiously. Spider-Man. You are not educated. Attacking from behind is for cowards, annoying. In that he runs and dodges Shocker's attacks where the hero takes advantage of a carelessness and removes the sonic cannons and hits Shocker in the face knocking him out. The police arrived and arrested Shocker for the damage caused. Spider-Man had gone where he arrives at an alley where he puts on his normal clothes. Peter. Shocker was rude, but at least he's not as powerful as Octopus or as the Green Goblin once was, seriously. He went home, but then he saw Mary Jane with John, but now that he's over everything he doesn't pay attention to it. Peter. It's time to grow up, if she's happy with that, I'm not going to interfere, seriously. He continues on his way because now he is no longer interested in Mary Jane because he knows that she caused him nothing but emotional damage. The Issei. He was at home talking to Aurora and she told him about the X-Men and that she is part of the mutant team. Issei. How many mutants are there? Serious and curious. Aurora. Quite a few, smiling. Issei. I see, but I already have girlfriends, seriously. Aurora. Girlfriends, surprised. Issei. Yes, the first one is the woman I love whose name is Rossweisse and the other one is called Gabriel, serious. Aurora. I see, hey, how your claws are made of metal, is it adamantium, surprised. Issei. No, since it's another metal, seriously. Aurora. Really, surprised. Issei. Well, I would like to meet the X-Men, seriously. Aurora. Okay, come with me, smiling. And that she takes out a device where both are teleported to the X-Men base. At the base. The two appeared at the entrance of the base and then she opens the door and the two walk for a while until they reach the room. Professor X was sitting at his desk and then he saw Aurora with Issei. Charles. I'm glad you're here, Issei, smiling. Issei. How do you know my name, seriously? Charles. We've been watching you, don't think badly, we didn't see anything personal, but you're a mutant, seriously. Issei. Yes I am and I discovered it in something bad that happened to me, seriously. Charles. How did it happen, serious and curious. Issei tells them how his parents were killed and how he discovered he was a mutant. Issei. It still hurts to remember how my parents were killed, sad. Charles. I'm sorry to hear that, sadly. Aurora. Professor, what will you do, curious. Charles. Issei, do you want to be part of the X-Men? Curious. Issei didn't know whether to accept, but on the one hand he could be there and meet more mutants. Issei. I accept, but where exactly are we, serious. Charles. We're in Krakow, but don't worry, you'll have a teleporter to get you here, smiling. Issei. Thank you, seriously. Then they give him a device to teleport and then someone comes in. It was Jean Grey. Issei. Who is she, curious. Jean. My name is Jean Grey, smiling. Issei Hyoudou es mi nombre Serio. Jean. I see you finally arrived. I wanted to meet you, smiling. Issei. I see, well I'll stay to get to know them better, seriously. And that he stays talking with the mutants to get to know them better. Now Issei met the X-Men, but he doesn't know that later he will meet other mutants that will happen. See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 10. Getting to know the mutants better. Previously we saw how Issei fought against mutant monsters and met Aurora alias Storm who took him to the X-Men base where he met the other mutants. But not only that, but he meets a beautiful mutant whose name is Jean Grey. Present. We see Issei at the X-Men base where he was guided by Jean Grey since he wanted to show him what the base of the mutant heroes was like. Jean. Hey Issei, how did you discover that you were a mutant? Serious and curious. Issei. It's a long story, but it all started when my parents died, seriously. He told him how his parents were murdered and that he was almost killed by the fallen angels, but he awakened his mutant powers and how he killed them with his bone claws until he met Odin and his adventures. Jean. Wow, I didn't expect that. I'm sorry for your loss, sad. Issei. At least I killed those fallen, but now I hope to find the idiot who took my parents from me, cold. Jean. Everything in its time, but hey, I'm surprised that you're a mutant, but well, I also want you to know something. We know about the supernatural. I had some encounters with fallen angels and renegade demons, but I managed to kill them, it would be. Issei. I see, serious. Jean. Hey, do you have a partner? Curious. Issei. Yes, I have my precious Rossweisse, a Valkyrie, they made fun of her for not having a boyfriend, but I love her and I became her partner because I want to protect her. I know she can defend herself, but who knows, another one is Gabriel, a beautiful archangel who is another important woman in my life, seriously. Jean felt a little jealous, but later she would talk to them to see if they share it with her. Jean. Although we also have an ally who is not a mutant, smiling. Issei. Oh yeah, and who, curious. Jean. He must be patrolling, but he was one of the few who didn't hate us for being mutants, smiling. Issei. I would like to meet other mutants so I can get to know more of my race, serious and curious. At that, Aurora, who had heard the conversation, comes out. Aurora. You already have a friend, Issei yo, smiling. Then the three of them went for a walk so Issei could meet more mutants. Elsewhere. Peter was at the Daily Bugle building where Jonah Jameson saw him since Peter hadn't been back for days. Jonah Jameson. Parker, where were you? You hadn't come back for days, seriously. Peter. Mr. Jameson, I'm sorry I left without telling you, but I brought you this, he gives him a folder. Jonah checks it and sees that there were some photographs of Spider-Man, but also some other news. Peter. Garbage will be said, garbage as always, seriously. Jonah. Parker was thinking of firing you, but these photos changed my mind, seriously. Peter. How is your son feeling about the wedding, serious and curious? Jonah. Well, a little nervous, it reminds me of when I was young. I also got nervous when I was getting married, seriously. Peter. Well, I won't ask anything because that's his life, but something else came to him too. He gives him a box. Jonah opens the box and sees that it was ink for the building's printer. Jonah. Oh, the ink order, I had forgotten that detail. Well, Parker, go to work, I have things to do, seriously. Peter. Yes sir, seriously. Peter leaves the office where he sees the secretary Betty Brandt. Betty. Peter, where have you been? You had me worried. Hugging Peter. After separating from the hug, Peter would speak to Betty. Peter. I'm sorry I was gone Betty, but I wasn't feeling well about myself, but now I'm better, smiling. Betty. Oh, I see, I missed you, but I see you're better than before, smiling. Peter. Well, I have to go. I have work to do. See you later, smiling. Betty. One day you ask me out, smiling. Peter. Of course Betty, smiling. Peter went to do his photography work, but he really went to put on his suit and go patrol the city. The Issei. This went to a part where I would see a mutant woman, but she had a visor on her eyes. Issei. Who is she, serious and curious? I see that you are another mutant. My name is Sarah Summers alias Lady Cyclops, it would be. Issei. I see, but why do you wear glasses that have your eyes, curious? Jean. You see, Issei, she has laser vision, but she has to wear glasses because she doesn't control her laser, and when she doesn't have the glasses on, it would be. Sarah. And what is your power? Curious. Issei. Is this it, taking out his claws? Sarah. That's adamantium, serious and curious. Issei. Not at all since they put Euro on my skeleton, seriously. Sarah. Asgardian metal, serious and curious. Issei. Yes, seriously. Sarah. Hey Issei, I heard your story. I'm sorry about your parents, but now you're part of our family, smiling slightly. Issei. Well I still have to meet other mutants, seriously. Then Colossus comes out and Issei is amazed to see that he has metal in his body. Colossus. Hey, you're Issei, aren't you? Curious. Issei. Yes, seriously. Colossus. I have many skills, my friend, and with some training you can be an X-Men. I'm Peter Nikolaevich, alias Colossus, smiling. Issei Hyoudou alias Wolverine Serio. But then a silver-haired boy wearing a silver jacket arrives. Issei. How fast and who are you, curious? Where are my manners? I'm Pietro Aka Quicksilver, smiling. Issei. Nice to meet you Pietro, smiling slightly. Pietro. Hey friend, you're new, looking at Issei. Issei. Yes, Pietro just joined the X-Men, seriously. Pietro. How nice, one more in the family, smiling. After that, Issei gets to know his new mutant friends better, but he knows that he will have to deal with many challenges that he will face. See him in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 11 Deadpool. Previously we saw how Issei met other mutants at the X-Men base, but he doesn't know that there are other mutants that he will meet over time. But he doesn't know that there is also another hero who is not a mutant but would be his best friend. Present. We are in the courtyard of the X-Men base where we see a guy in a red and black suit and some weapons. It was Wade Wilson, alias Deadpool. Deadpool. Greetings readers, didn't you think your good friend Deadpool wasn't going to appear in this story? Looking at the viewer. Then Deadpool starts dancing a little to some awesome music that was on his phone. While Deadpool was dancing he saw Issei in his Wolverine suit. Deadpool got quite excited when he saw him. Deadpool. What a blowjob that Rias is, surprised. At that Issei comes out since he heard the music he was dreaming of and saw Deadpool. Issei. Seriously, the idiot, seriously. Deadpool. Hey, Deadpool, I was waiting for you, excited. Issei. If you're really an idiot, seriously. Deadpool. Hey, Garitas, what's your name? Serious and curious. Issei Hyoudou Piro mi Konasan como Wolverine Serio. Deadpool. Well my name is Wade Wilson Aka Deadpool, excited. Then he takes off his mask revealing his face, but Issei is shocked to see what happened to Wade's face. Issei. What happened to you? It seems like you burned in a fire, shocked. Wade. You see, I was a normal guy like any other, but one day I met a beautiful woman named Vanessa, but one day I got cancer, and I underwent an experiment where I ended up like that, but my mutant powers woke up and I became a mercenary. Oh, Vanessa is my love, sad. Then he takes a picture of himself with Vanessa before her mutation. Issei. That must be Vanessa, they look good together from what I see, serious. Wade. Thanks for the compliment, but now I have to go. There's someone I want to talk to, putting on his mask. And that Deadpool left the yard and heads to New York City because there is the person he wants to see. New York City. We see Spider-Man swinging around the city. Since he returned, it seems that his reputation has improved a lot. Almost no one sees him as a threat. But now the suit that Professor X had designed for him was luckily more resistant. He was fighting against Dr. Octopus, who was building the machine. Dr. Octopus was fighting Spider-Man, but the hero was determined to stop him. Dr. Octopus. New spider costume, surprised. Spider-Man. This time I'm going to defeat you. Seafood dish, mockingly. Dr. Octopus tries to catch him with his mechanical arms, but it was no use because the arachnid was faster than him and kicks him in the butt. One of the arms grabs him and throws him against a wall, but then he gets up. Spider-Man. Always the same old trick, seriously. And that he launches himself against the villain where both of them started a fight. And that both continue with the fight, and then Spider-Man throws a device that attaches to the octopus's arms, and in that he synchronizes it. After that, Spider-Man manipulates the octopus's arms to attack him and then hits him with a blow that knocks him out. The police take Octopus to the raft that was a prison for villains with powers. Spider-Man watched as Octopus was taken away, although he managed to prevent their plan, he didn't understand why he went from good to evil. After the fight, the news came out that Octopus was arrested and the city thanked Spider-Man for stopping him. Moments later. Spider-Man arrives at a building and takes off his mask, although he defeated Octopus, at least he knows that he is one less problem. Peter. Otto was finally defeated, but something tells me it won't be the last time I see him, seriously. At that moment he feels someone approaching him and gets into a fighting stance, but it was only Deadpool. Deadpool. My best friend, excited. Peter. Oh wait again, seriously. Deadpool. You don't understand, we're best friends, pretending to be offended. Peter. You kill people, not me, seriously. Deadpool. Understanding, offensive. Peter. Well, leaving that aside, what are you doing here, Wade, seriously? Deadpool takes off the mask where it showed his face. Wade. I came to see you, friend, but the reason is that I need some advice since I want to see my Vanessa, sadly. Peter. Ah, I remember her, she was my teacher in Midtown, and what else? Ah, yes, she and you got married, but when you got your powers, you distanced yourself, remembering Vanessa. Wade. I see you know, but I don't know how he's going to react when he sees me, sadly. Peter. Wade, don't feel that way. I know she loves you. I don't doubt that she will accept you now that you are like this. Appearance doesn't matter, but your feelings do, smiling. Wade. Thanks for that, I consider you my best friend, relieved. After that Deadpool puts on the mask and then leaves while Peter puts on the mask and swings away from the site. The Issei. After meeting the mutants, he decides to return home where he is greeted by Rossweisse, who gives him a kiss on the lips. Issei. What a warm welcome, my love, smiling. Rossweisse. How do you feel now that you've met the mutants? Curious. Issei. Very good to know that there are more like me, but each one with a different power, seriously. Rossweisse. Now you see that dinner is ready, smiling. Issei. Thank you, I don't regret having met you, my Valkyrie, kissing Rossweisse. Rossweisse gladly accepts her lover's kiss, but she hugs him to deepen the kiss even more. Moments later. Rossweisse and Issei had dinner, and after that they both went to watch a movie together, and after that they both went to the room where Rossweisse kissed Issei on the lips. Issei blushes, but gladly accepts the Valkyrie's kiss since he hadn't seen Issei for days. Lemon skipped. They both fell asleep where Issei hugs Rossweisse so she doesn't get cold and she snuggles up more to him and they were both happy to be together. The next day. Issei arrived at the academy where he held his mechanics class with some first-year students. Issei. So if you work with tools you should be careful not to get hurt when you are working on repairs or construction, seriously. Then the students learned how to use each tool. At the ophthalmology club. We see Rias, who was sitting on the couch in the place, but she was still bothered that Rossweisse was already Issei's partner, but she will see what to do later. Rias. But what are you hiding, Issei? I know you're not human. It would be. The Keno. Rias. Issei is here after being absent for several days, smiling. Rias. I'll see what to do, I'll call him, it would be. The Keno. You know he won't accept being in your entourage, it would be. Rias. I already know, but I want to know a few things, it would be. After that they would talk for a while waiting for the break to talk to Issei. 20 minutes later. The break arrived, but Akeno went to take Issei to the occult club. He was already tired of saying that he would not be part of any entourage. Issei. I've already told you that I won't be part of any demonic entourage, seriously. Rias. Issei, it's not because of that this time, it would be. Issei. Then why, serious and curious. Rias. What are you? I just want to know, it would be. Issei. Well, since you insist, I'm not human, but neither am I a demon, angel, or fallen angel, seriously. Rias. That's you, serious and curious. Issei. I'm a mutant, seriously. Bekeno. Mutant, surprised. Rias. What are mutants, serious and curious? Bekeno. They are a race like humans, but they have something called Gene X that gives them their powers, but unlike humans, they regenerate from their wounds, not caring about the damage they suffer, and they have different powers depending on the mutant it would be. Rias. So that's why your energy was different from that of a human, you're a mutant, surprised. Issei. Yes, but I already met the X-Men, seriously. Bekeno. It's the team of heroes who are mutants, surprised. Issei. I see that you know about the X-Men, but well, he was part of the team recently, but laugh because you are so interested in me, serious and curious. Rias. What power you have, serious and curious. At that Issei clenches his fists and his Yuru claws come out. Issei. They are my claws, but naturally my claws are made of bone, but I received a magical metal, seriously. Rias. Wow, it looks like a metal I've never seen before because it's obvious it's not a metal made by humans, surprised. Issei. Well, I have to go, but you know I won't be part of your entourage, seriously. Issei puts away his claws and then leaves the occult club, but at least Rias knows more about Issei now. Later. Miku was taking a walk after training as the boosted gear wearer, but then she collides with someone. Miku. Sorry, I didn't notice, apologizing. But then Miku sees that the person she collided with was a blonde-haired girl, but she was dressed like a nun. No, I'm very clumsy, shy. Miku, mi nombre es Miku Nakano Presentantes. My name is Asia Argento, sadly. Miku. Calm down, I won't do anything to you, smiling. Asia. I'm new here, sad. Miku. Hey, what brings you to the city? Curious. Asia. I came to look for the church, help me, tender look. Miku realizes that she is the nun that the fallen angels were planning to kill, since Miku killed several fallen angels and obtained information about what they were planning. Miku. Asia-chan, you better come with me, I'll let you live with me, smiling. Asia. Seriously, will you give me a home? Surprised. Miku. Of course Asia, I won't leave you homeless, smiling. After that Asia went with Miku, but she doesn't know that she will protect her from the fallen angels. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 12. Peter and Anna's date. Previously we saw how Issei alias Wolverine met one of the X-Men, more specifically Wade Wilson alias Deadpool, who had regeneration and mercenary abilities. We also saw how Peter aka Spider-Man fought against Otto Octavius aka Dr. Octopus, where with some technology and combat skills he was able to defeat. Present. We are in New York City where we see Peter who was dressed in casual clothes but seems somewhat nervous since it was his first date with Anna aka Rogue. A few minutes later Anna arrives, wearing dark clothes with gloves. Anna. How do I look, sad? Peter. You look good Anna, smiling. Anna. Let's go to our date, blushing. Peter. Yes, smiling. At that he takes Anna's hand, she gets a little scared, but she saw that he didn't seem affected. Anna. What's going on, confused. Peter. Ah, I know your power, Anna, but I invented the solution. Remember the wristwatch I gave you? Smiling. At that point, Anna sees that she has a wristwatch that was one that Peter gave her when he regained his powers. Anna. Yes, I remember that it has, serious and curious. Peter. Anna, you'll see the bracelet, I made it to cancel your power level, so that I can take your hand, and your power won't hurt anyone, since the bracelet makes your power not work until you take it off so you can live your life without fear, smiling. Anna. That was very kind of you Peter, thank you so I can shake hands without being afraid, blushing. After that they both went to enjoy their date where first Peter took her to the amusement park where they had fun together. Then they went to the cinema to see a film that they both chose, and when it was over Peter bought Anna a necklace. 9 p.m. They both arrive at a restaurant where they are about to order food and the waiter gives them a table. Peter. This place is nice. I used to come here with my uncles to celebrate my birthdays, remembering those birthdays. Anna. No wonder you're known here Peter, smiling. Peter. Yes, well Anna, at least with you I'm starting to recover the feeling of love, blushing. Anna. Because you say so, serious and curious. Peter. You see Anna, I was a suck at love, I had the responsibilities of Spider-Man and everything, but I didn't have time as Peter Parker, and this caused the woman I came to love to not want anything with me, after not going to her work, and I saw him kissing another man, this broke my heart, but more was when I went to the planetarium party, she made it clear that I was a fool who doesn't arrive on time, and that I am a failure, and she agreed to marry that man who was the son of my boss. That made me feel that I should not have been Spider-Man. I was a failure as a person and as a hero, remembering everything that Mary Jane told him. But Anna hugs him because she didn't like Peter being like that. Anna. Peter, you are not a failure, she did not know how to value you. Peter, I know that the life of a hero is not easy and at the same time being a normal person, but Peter, I love you. You are not a nobody, you are someone admirable who always gets up despite the difficulties. I saw your battles against that guy with the mechanical arms and I know that you fought against a crazy guy dressed as an elf, it would be. Peter. Anna, you love me, surprised. Anna. Yes Peter, I love you, I've loved you since I saw you for the first time, you're someone sweet, intelligent and you care about others and you always get up even though they always look for a way to bring you down, you didn't see me as a monster, even though I'm a mutant, blushing. As a sign of her love, she takes Peter by the cheeks and kisses him on the lips. Peter blushes, but little by little he began to accept Anna's kiss, she showed true love. After several minutes they separated due to lack of air. Peter. It's the best kiss I've ever had, blushing. Anna. And what about Peter, do you love me? Blushing. Peter. Yes, Anna, I love you. You are pretty, you have beautiful hair, and nice personality, you are beautiful both physically and emotionally. I want to be with you. Do you want to be my girlfriend? Blushing. Anna. Yes my love, blushing. They both kiss again, thus beginning their relationship and then the meal arrives, where they both began to eat. Later on. Kuo City. We see Issei giving his mechanics class where he saw the progress of all the students, but those who had finished carpentry had to do welding, but Issei explained to them how they should do it. After giving his class we see Issei who was in the occult club since, although he is not a member of Rias' entourage he is an ally. Issei. Well, what can I say? They know how to make a good tea, seriously. Rias. Issei, I'm surprised you're a mutant, but one thing is, you don't feel heavy with that metal in your skeleton, curious. Issei. Should weigh 200 kilos, seriously. Rias. 200 kilos, surprised. Issei. Yes, but thanks to a spell that didn't happen, but at least it didn't poison me, seriously. Rias. Issei-kun, what abilities do you have besides your claws? Curious. Issei. Well, I have regeneration no matter how much damage it is, seriously. Rias. Well, I must tell you something you know about the Sekiryuutei, serious and curious. Issei. Yes because, seriously. Akeno. She's here, I think you should know her, would be. Issei. It's Miku, isn't it like that, it would be. Rias. How do you know? Surprised. Issei. I detect energy, fortune teller is part of your entourage as you know her, serious and curious. Rias. You see, Miku and I have known each other since we were little, she was the first human friend I made, but you see, she has a sad past. She had loving parents and other sisters, but unfortunately, she learned about the supernatural the hard way, since some fallen angels killed her family, and that's when her sacred gear awakened, it would be. Issei. How bad it is, it's similar to what happened to me, seriously. Rias. What do you mean, serious and curious? Issei. Some fallen ones came to kill me, but my parents tried to save me, but they died, and that's when I woke up my mutant powers, seriously. Rias. I see, hey, can I ask you something? Curious. Issei. Tell me, seriously. Rias. What am I for you, curious? Issei. You see, I don't deny that you are beautiful, but I don't focus on the physical aspect, but rather on the feelings since I am not a pervert, seriously. Rias is surprised by what she had heard, but she saw that Issei was honest, and there was no lie in his words. Akeno. Ara Issei-kun you are a gentleman, smiling. Issei. Well I've also noticed one thing, seriously. Akeno. What a thing Issei-kun, serious and curious. Issei. You have sad stories, for example Akeno lost her mother to assassins, Kaneko, her older sister, killed her master, but apparently had no reason why, Ace was used for a sword experiment and Miku was attacked by fallen angels, but it's not because I'm insensitive. I know what it's like to suffer and lose those you love to repugnant beings, with pain, since it still hurts to lose her parents. Issei then gets up because then he puts on his black suit since he was going to hunt rogue demons. Rias and Akeno blush seeing Issei in his black suit. Issei. It's the suit I used to hunt rogue demons. I detected one a few blocks from here. Let's go, serious. Rias and the others wait for night to attack the rogue demons. Later. They arrive at an abandoned factory where they saw renegade demons where Rias uses her power of destruction to finish them off. After that I eliminate several renegades, but they arrive at a place where Issei saw a wrecking ball and grabs it without any effort. Something I forgot to mention is that with Odin's training Issei can lift over 100 tons. At that point he throws it upwards and the renegade demon, seeing it, steps aside, but it falls on him. Then Issei takes out his claws to stop playing with the renegade demon and cuts off his head. Issei. Sometimes I have fun hurting my enemies in the worst way, cold. Rias. That was something quick, but well, that's how you are, it would be. Hineko. Something disgusting but those things deserved it, it would be. Then Issei leaves the place to go home so as not to worry Rossweisse. He may have powers, but his girlfriend worries about him. The next day. Issei was with Miku where she told him that he is a mutant since he remembered that they met when they were children, that was before awakening their mutant powers. Issei. Miku, I know you're the Sekiryuutei, but I'm sorry for everything that happened to you, but now what will you do? Serious and curious. Miku. Find the one who killed my family and make him pay. I only have Asia, whom I love like my little sister, seriously. Issei. Well Miku, I'll help you, but I'll try not to cause a war between factions, but I don't promise anything, seriously. Miku, Issei-kun Unikos of Syria. Issei. Yes, serious and curious. Miku. Please don't leave me alone again. I missed you so much. I haven't seen you since before the attack, sobbing. Issei. Calm down Miku, that won't happen again since I won't leave Kuoh, seriously. Miku hugs him, but Issei accepts the hug, but from a distance Rossweisse saw everything, but instead of getting upset, she saw that Miku missed Issei a lot. Rossweisse. She is the same age as Issei, but I will talk to her later, seriously. After the meeting, Issei went to do some things in the X-Men's lair, since Professor X had spoken to him. Later. Issei was at the base, but he was accompanied by Jean, who had served him something to eat, because after killing some renegade demons he went to the base. Issei. Well at least there are a few less monsters, seriously. Jean. I see that you kill the renegade demons so as not to be a problem later, it would be. Issei. It's the least I can do since this way they won't kill innocent humans, seriously. After that Issei continues eating the food that Jean gives him, but she had something planned with him. Jean. Issei I love you I want to be only yours I hope one day you accept my feelings. Issei finishes eating, and then Professor X comes in to give Issei a mission. Professor X. Issei, I have a mission for you. It's to track down a terrorist group of mutants, but Jean and Aurora are going to accompany you because I don't know how strong they are, seriously. Issei. Understood, seriously. After that Issei put on his yellow suit to prepare for the mission that will happen. See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 13. Issei meets Peter. Previously we saw how Peter had a date with Anna alias Rogue, and thanks to a technological bracelet courtesy of Peter Anna can touch people without her power harming her loved ones. After a romantic date, Peter confesses his love to Anna, where she agreed to be Peter's girlfriend, and now he has the opportunity to love. Meanwhile, Issei speaks with the Gremory clan where he tells them that they can be allies, but he will not be part of any demonic entourage. Present. We are located in Kuoh where we see Issei with Rossweisse, and the couple was taking a ride in a car which is a black 1969 Mustang. Issei. Hey love, you know I like classic cars, seriously. Rossweisse. Yes, that's something I like about you, smiling. Issei. Well, you want to see how fast it can go, smiling. And that it accelerates where the car was faster than the modern Mustang, because Issei modified it with a rocket-like engine. After walking a bit, Issei is about to check his phone when he stops at a park to see if there was any call from the teacher X. Issei. Rossweisse, let's make the food while the others arrive, smiling. At that moment the couple is about to go down, and both arrive at a place and go inside, but when they arrive he takes out a grill and starts to cook some roast meat on the grill after lighting it. Issei while preparing the food Rossweisse is in charge of preparing a table to put everything. Issei also makes grilled burgers. Issei. The food is getting tasty, smiling. At that Rossweisse finished organizing the table where she saw Issei finish making the food. But then a magic circle comes out where Gabriel comes out, but then a portal opens where Jean, Sarah and Aurora come out. Gabriel. Who are you? Serious and curious. Issei. Gabriel-chan they are mutants like me they are Jean, Sarah and Aurora, smiling slightly. After that the mutants introduce themselves as well as Gabriel, and they all sit at the table where Issei serves them food on some plates. Issei. Enjoy, I hope you enjoy it, smiling. Aurora. It's rare to see you smile, it would be. Issei. I have everything I like, but I also want you to enjoy this roasted meat I prepared for you, smiling. Then they all eat the food that Issei had prepared, but then he takes out some soft drinks. Issei. Here are the drinks, serving the drinks. Then he serves each of the girls a soft drink in a different glass. Elsewhere. We see Peter who was with Mary Jane since she wanted to talk to him since they haven't spoken in months, but he didn't want to be near her, but then an attack occurs the person responsible was Doc Ock and he grabs Peter. Doc Ock. Are you going to find your friend Spider-Man or I'm going to cut her alive, cold. But Peter doesn't respond, and after that Doc Rock pushes him and then the villain kidnaps Mary Jane. Then the villain flees the scene without realizing that Peter gets up and then went to get his suit and then puts it on and goes after the villain. The arachnid hero swings through the city to stop Doc Ock, but since he escaped someone must have helped him, but why? Spider-Man reaches a tower where Doc Ock was, where they both have a fight, but although Doc Ock had his mechanical arms, Spider-Man lands several blows on him. But in a moment of carelessness, both fall onto a train where they resume the fight. Then Doc Rock makes the hero go through a window, but then Spider-Man comes out and resumes the fight. But the villain makes him fall, but the hero returns, and in that Doc Ock takes people out of the train, but the hero throws cobwebs, thus avoiding a fatal fall. Doc then goes towards the locomotive where he knocks out the driver and accelerates the train, and then pulls the lever. Doc Ock. The spider train is leaving you, mockingly. At that moment the villain jumps and with his arms he prepares to climb the wall. At that moment you can hear another driver trying to turn off the engine. Driver. Help, help, it has no brakes, it won't stop, agitated. But then Spider-Man sees that if he doesn't stop the train, the end of the track is a few kilometers away, and after that, the hero stands in front of the locomotive door. Driver. We're going to die, agitated. Spider-Man. Tell them to hold on, seriously. Driver. Hold on tight, worried. Spider-Man tries to stop him, but nothing works, so he throws webs to try to stop him, but the webs break. Spider-Man throws many more webs to stop the train and uses his strength to try to stop the train. Imagine that he is wearing the mask and the advanced suit and his suit is not broken. But Spider-Man fights and fights to make the train stop, where the train reaches the end of the track and when it seemed like it was going to fall, it stops before that happens. Spider-Man was going to fall, but then someone caught him. They were the people inside the train. After that they accommodate him and a few minutes later Spider-Man woke up and after that Doc Ock appears and captures him. Later. We see Harry who was serious and then Doc Ock arrives with Spider-Man and leaves him on an armchair and then Doc Ock takes what he is looking for and leaves, but Harry takes off his mask, seeing that it was Peter. Harry is in shock. Peter was Spider-Man. After that Peter gets up and tells him that Ock has Mary Jane. Harry. You killed my father, seriously. But then Peter decides to tell Harry the truth that Norman was the Green Goblin and wanted to kill him, but Norman ended up killing himself. Harry was going to tell him he was a liar, but then Harry's butler Bernard comes out. Bernard. What you say is true, Harry. The night your father died I treated his wound. The blade that pierced his body was from his glider. I know you defend your father's honor, but he died by his own hand and ambition, seriously. Harry knows that Bernard never lies, and in that Harry shows that he seems sorry for how he treated Peter. Peter. I tried to tell you but I couldn't. Now I have to stop Ock before his machine destroys the city, seriously. But before that Peter approaches Harry and gives him a good slap. Peter. That's for the slap you gave me at the planetarium party, seriously. He left the place not without first putting on his mask and leaves, while Harry is still processing everything he heard but knows that he well deserved the slap. The Issei. He was at the X-Men base after the barbecue he had organized, but he was accompanied by Rossweisse and Gabriel. Professor X knows that they were not human, but after Issei introduced them, he told them that they were welcome. Issei. Professor X, I see there is one more chair who is waiting for, curious. Professor X. To a good friend I met, smiling. Issei. Who, curious. Professor X. You'll see, seriously. While waiting for Charles's friend, they get ready to watch a movie. Meanwhile. Spider-Man had fought Doc Ock in an abandoned warehouse and then he comes up with a way to turn it off and after that he makes the machine turn off. But his mask falls off and he turns around and sees Mary Jane staring at him. Mary Jane is in shock. Peter was Spider-Man, but then Peter saw Doc Ock trying to escape, but then Spider-Man throws an electric cable at him, causing a powerful shock that makes his arms go crazy, and then Doc Ock is knocked out. Peter then leaves Doc Ock a part where the police would arrive to take him away. Moments later. Mary Jane was looking at Peter, but he was still serious since he didn't say a word to her, he didn't like being near her, he just felt indifference. Mary Jane. All this time you were Spider-Man, I should have known. You always had signs of being tired and you were late to my plays, seriously. Peter. It's something you wouldn't understand, but well, they should come for you while I have things to do, seriously. He puts on the mask and leaves the play swinging, since he had things to do, and then he takes something out, and it was a device. Peter. Thank goodness Professor X gave me this, seriously. Then he activates the device and opens a portal to go to the X-Men base. X-Men base. We see everyone in the meeting room, but then they see a portal open where Spider-Man comes out and Issei didn't know who he was. Professor X. Oh Peter, the first see you arrived, smiling. At that Spider-Man takes off his mask revealing his face where he sits down. Issei. He is the friend they are talking about, surprised. Professor X. I want to introduce you to Peter Parker, he is the superhero Spider-Man. He fought against a madman in a goblin suit and one who throws sonic waves and recently a guy with mechanical arms, seriously. Peter. It's a pleasure, smiling. Issei. The pleasure is mine, seriously. Professor X. He is one of the few non-mutants who treats us well, smiling. Peter. I don't see them as monsters, seriously. Issei. Well, I'm Issei Hyoudou alias Wolverine, showing his claws. Peter. I heard about you from Professor X, smiling. Issei. Since when are you a superhero, curious. Peter. For 2 years, seriously. Issei. I see you have a family, curious. Peter. My parents died when I was a child, my uncle Ben was murdered, and I am left with my Aunt May, a little sad. Issei. I know what it's like to lose your loved ones. I lost my parents when I was a child, sad. After that, the two get to know each other better, but Issei doesn't know that he will have a best friend who will pass by. See him in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 14 Magneto. Previously we saw how Peter fights against the villain Doc Ock and managed to destroy the machine, but Mary Jane discovered that Peter was Spider-Man, and after having the villain taken away, he went to the X-Men base. Meanwhile Issei had a barbecue in a field where he spends time with the mutant women, and after that he was called to the X-Men base where Charles introduces him to Peter, where Issei and Peter began to get to know each other. Present. We are at the X-Men base where Issei was looking, but both had their respective suits on. They don't have their masks on. Issei. You look like a child in an adult's body, serious. Peter. Many people tell me that, so it didn't bother me, seriously. Issei. Hey, how smart are you? Curious. Peter. I'd say quite a lot, seriously. Issei. Hey, one thing, you've had emotional problems, serious and curious. Peter. Yes, the woman I loved before made it clear to me that she didn't want anything with me, that I always fail her, etc. But now I don't care if she does whatever she wants with her life, seriously. Issei. So you had a bad time but you don't care anymore, you want to move on, but what about that you don't kill the bad guys, serious and curious. Peter. I don't like the idea of killing, seriously. Issei. I won't argue with you so, well, since when have you known Wade, serious and curious. Peter. After defeating the Green Goblin, I met Wade and he's seriously an idiot and I don't like being around him because he's a murderer, seriously. Issei. Oh, I also kill bad guys, seriously. Peter. Because I'm not surprised, it was more than obvious because of your claw power, seriously. Issei. Well, what can I say, that's how I am, serious. Peter. Well, I have a relationship. Anna, you should know her, smiling. Issei. I know who the mutant is who has the power to absorb energy, but how did it not affect you, confused. Peter. It's easy. I made her a technological bracelet that prevents her power from hurting anyone, so I can hold her hand without any problem, smiling. Issei. I see you know how to help, I didn't expect that, serious. After that, the two went to get something to drink. When Issei drinks a beer, he gives it to Peter, but he refused, saying that he can't drink it, and then he drinks a soda. Issei. Why don't you drink beer, confused. Peter. I can't because of my powers since I can't drink anything that has alcohol, seriously. In that, the two continue drinking their respective drinks, but they don't know that something big is coming. Later. Peter decides to visit Kuoh since thanks to Professor X, there were no criminals, so there was nothing to worry about, but he arrives at the occult club one afternoon when there were no classes. Then he enters the place where the girls notice him, but the one who looks at him the most is Rias, who looked at Peter in amazement, but the others did not take it seriously. Rias. Issei. Who is he, serious and curious. Issei. He's a new friend, his name is Peter Parker, but call him Peter, smiling. Peter. Nice to meet you, smiling. First of all, I'm just doing what they ask me to do, so I'm not Issei's partner, so I don't want any complaints. Rias. Hey, they told you you're attractive, blushing. Peter. Let's just say he wasn't popular with girls because he was just a hopeless nerd, seriously. Rias. Out of curiosity, do you have a girlfriend? Blushing. Peter. I actually have a girlfriend, but I don't deny that you're pretty, smiling. But then a magic circle appears where a blonde guy in a red suit appears. Rias. What do you want to Razor, it would be. Razor. It's not obvious I'm coming for you, arrogant. Rias. I don't want to marry you, it would be. Peter. Wait, what are you talking about, confused. Akeno. Peter-san, he is the Phoenix Razor, the heir of the Phoenix clan. You see, he is Rias' fiancé since due to the holy war, there aren't many pure demons left and they make arranged marriages, it would be. Peter. That's not right. Rias can't marry someone she doesn't love, seriously. Brazier. What are you doing, silly human, mockingly. Peter then punches him in the face, sending him crashing into the wall. Everyone is amazed at the boy's strength, but Issei only had a smile on his face. Brazier. Damn human, you'll see, annoyed. He hits him, but Peter blocks the blow without any problem and then he bends his hand. Brazier. Ah, screaming in pain. Enough, would be. At that they turn around and see a better one with silver hair wearing maid clothes. Rias knew who it was. Grayfia Lucifuge. Peter. He was the one who started it, seriously. Grayfia. Razor behave, would be. Brazier. This human is nothing special, he just got lucky, arrogant. Peter. If you think you're such a rude good-for-nothing idiot, I'll challenge you to a duel, you and me, seriously. Grayfia. Are you sure about that? You don't know how powerful it is, worried. Peter. Please fight a crazy guy with an imperfect super soldier serum, a crazy guy with mechanical arms etc., seriously. Grayfia. Well, but I warn you that we will not be responsible if you fall in battle, it would be. Peter. If he wins the duel, Ria's engagement with this effeminate blonde will end and she will be free, seriously. Brazier. Fine, but if you lose, I'll torture you and before I kill you, you'll see how I make Rias mine, smiling arrogantly. Peter. You're a sick friend, seriously. Grayfia. When will the fight be, serious and curious? Peter. 10 days, seriously. Grayfia. Okay, I'm leaving now, seriously. Brazier. I'm going to enjoy your humiliation, insect, leaves in a magic circle. Peter. But what an idiot, seriously. Rias. You don't know what you've gotten yourself into, worried. Peter. A hero never refuses to help someone in need, seriously. Issei. Let's see what daddy's made of, mockingly. Then Peter and Issei retreat, but in that he uses the teleportation to return to New York, but now he must do something like defeating Razor. Meanwhile Issei was in his Wolverine suit, he was hunting several fallen angels where he was able to kill them without any problem. But he realizes that one of these had a symbol that was quite strange, but then he sees some metals that were going to attack him, but then Wolverine dodges them and saw that the cause of everything was a guy with a purple suit and a Spartan-style helmet. Wolverine. Who are you, seriously? They know me by many names, but they call me Magneto, mockingly. Wolverine. What do you want? Cold. Magneto. It's not obvious, I saw that you have an interesting metal and I want it for some experiments, arrogant. Wolverine. Over my dead body, decrepit old man, mockingly. In this he uses his powers to levitate metals. Magneto throws the metals towards Wolverine where he blocks several metals, but then Magneto sees a car and decides to use his powers making the car fly towards Wolverine and hits him sending him flying. Wolverine then gets on all fours and looks at Magneto angrily. Wolverine. I'm going to kick your ass, cold. And that he runs on all fours where he dodges several attacks and Magneto tries to levitate to dodge him, but in that Wolverine digs his claws into Magneto's leg. Magneto. Ah, screaming in pain. Wolverine. You like that, daddy, mockingly. Magneto then falls to the ground, but Wolverine pulls his claws out of Magneto's leg and the mutant looks at him angrily and attacks him again. At that Wolverine dodges and then decides to attack Magneto by digging his claws into the subject's stomach. Magneto. Ah, screaming in pain. Then Magneto kicks Wolverine in the groin, causing him to fall to the ground from the intense pain, since no male is safe from being hit there. Magneto then uses his powers to send him flying and Wolverine falls into a lake. Magneto decides to leave because his body hurt a lot, even though he had regenerated, he was still injured in his stomach, leg and part of his left arm, and decides to leave early. Wolverine leaves the lake, but saw that Magneto had already left and he was going home, he was already tired of everything. The next day. Issei was at the X-Men base telling everything he saw, that there was a guy named Magneto, but Charles got serious, he knew who Issei was talking about. Charles. It's Eric Magnus Lenshier. I see you confronted him, seriously. Issei. Who was that crazy guy, confused. Charles. You see, Issei is over 90 years old, but because of regeneration and mutant power, he doesn't age much, and he suffered torture by the Nazis in World War II, seriously. Issei. I see, serious. Charles. I'll see what to do next, but I hope he doesn't show up again, since he was interested in the metal you have in your body, seriously. Issei, low C, Serio. Then Issei went to see Jean who was waiting for him for lunch at a restaurant and goes to where Jean was waiting for him. Jean was waiting for Issei for lunch and after a few minutes Issei arrived and they both started eating. Without realizing that Magneto sees them in the distance, but he felt that Issei's metal was not adamantium, but it was adamantium, which was exactly. Magneto. What metal do you have, little claws? Seriously. Then Magneto leaves the place but plans to fight Issei again. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 15. Jean's revelation. Previously we saw how Peter aka Spider-Man challenges Razor to a fight where he accepts an order to humiliate Peter without knowing what awaits him, since he doesn't know who he's messing with. But not only that, but Issei faced a guy who calls himself Magneto and he faced him, but Magneto, seeing that Issei was quite powerful, decided to escape. Present. After the fight against Magneto, Issei returned home, but he told Rossweisse everything about how he faced a subject with magnetic power, where Rossweisse was quite worried about the confrontation Issei had. Rossweisse. Issei-kun, next time don't go alone, who knows what that guy is planning, it would be. Issei. I'm sorry I worried you, Rossweisse-chan, serious. Rossweisse. I'll give you something to eat, that fight must have exhausted you quite a bit, it would have. After that Issei eats the dinner that Rossweisse had prepared for him, and when he finished he washes the dishes and goes to take a bath and then goes to sleep with Rossweisse. In Issei's dream he was calm, but then everything became hellish and then a silhouette of fire in the shape of a bird appeared. Issei. Who are you, seriously? We'll see each other soon, it would be. At that the mysterious creature disappears from Issei's sight without knowing that something big would approach further ahead. Peter. This one was sleeping, but he had a dream where a subject appeared, but it seemed to be a galaxy with a humanoid body. In case you have questions, Issei will have the Phoenix Force and Peter will have the Ultra Instinct, reason, something big is coming. Peter. Wow, galaxy, surprised. You're the heir of the Ultra Instinct, seriously. Peter didn't understand anything, but then the galaxy-shaped subject disappears. Unknown location. We see Magneto, who was in his lair where he was precisely in his laboratory. Magneto realizes that Mystique kept looking at the monitors where Spider-Man was. Magneto. Raven, why are you looking at the spider so much? Confused. Mystique. He's very hexy, he's everything a woman wants to desire in a handsome man. I even saw what he looks like without his mask, excited. Magneto. Seriously, you're always like that, seriously. That's when another of Magneto's team approaches, he was a toad. Toad. That's how she is, boss, don't forget it, seriously. Magneto. Anyway, I discovered that Wolverine doesn't have adamantium, but a different metal that I don't know about, seriously. Mystique. If it's not adamantium, what is it? It would be curious. Magneto. As I just said, I don't know metal, seriously. Mystique. How about we go to sleep and tomorrow we'll think of a new plan, it would be. Magneto. You're right, Mystique. That fight against Wolverine left me exhausted. Let's go to sleep. Seriously. Then they went to sleep in their respective rooms, but Magneto had to find out what metal Issei had, since it was a metal that is not seen every day. That same night. Jean was having dreams where the Phoenix herself told her that she would soon be free, this caused Jean to wake up in an agitated manner. Jean. What's happening, confused. Jean decides to drink a glass of warm milk to see if she can go back to sleep and she succeeds, but she doesn't know that later on the Dark Phoenix will take control of her body. The next day. We see Issei in the forest training with Rossweisse, but he had also joined the mutants in order to spend more time with Issei. Issei. Girls, I'm glad you're joining the training, seriously. Jean. Well, Issei, smiling. Aurora. Okay girls, let's keep training, smiling. So they continued training and decided to rest, and after that Issei invited them to eat since so much training made them quite hungry. Meanwhile. Peter was at the X-Men base, but then Deadpool appears without the mask. Peter. Seriously Wade, why are you so annoying? Seriously. Wade. You know, Spider, I found out what happened with that woman, how do I say it? Ah, Mary Jane, seriously. Peter. How do you know that? Confused. Wade. Please, I know many things and I have witnessed many things, mockingly. Peter. You're lucky I didn't attack you, even though you have regeneration, you can't escape my brute force, seriously. Wade. Oh how scary, mocking. Peter then went somewhere else to avoid having to put up with Wade and bumps into Pietro aka Quicksilver. Pietro. What's up bro, smiling. Peter. Hello Pietro, how are you? Smiling. Pietro. Okay bro, hey Wanda has been asking about you, seriously. Peter. Oh yeah, confused. At that moment, a scarlet aura appears, revealing Wanda Maximoff, alias Scarlet Witch. Wanda. Peter, I was really worried about you, hugging Peter. Peter. Calm down Wanda, everything is fine. I don't care about Mary Jane anymore, seriously. Wanda. I see you're telling the truth. Hey, it's true that you're Anna's boyfriend, seriously, and hiding her jealousy. Peter. Yes, but well, you accepted me even though I'm not a mutant, but I don't see you as monsters, seriously. Wanda. You're one of the few who doesn't see us with fear, Peter, blushing. Peter. Well, Wanda, I need training to be stronger. I'll have a tough fight, seriously. Wanda. I know what it is to free a demon from an arranged marriage, it would be. Peter. How do you know that? Surprised. Wanda. Peter, you forget that I am a witch and I can read minds, it was too obvious, it would be. Peter. I had forgotten that detail, seriously. Pietro. Hey, what if we do something together? Smiling. The two nod and so they went to do something fun, but Wanda takes Peter's hand, but Anna saw everything. Anna. Wanda, I'll talk to you later, would be. Anna went to follow them without them noticing her presence. The Issei. He was training with Jean, but then she manifested a power of fire leaving everyone in shock, but Issei noticed something strange in Jean's powers. Issei. Something is not right, seriously. Jean's eyes shine brightly at that, but there was something strange about her, as she didn't seem to be the same. Issei. What are you doing with your eyes, worried? But then Jean blinks and his eyes return to normal. Jean. What happened, confused. Issei. Your eyes were full of fire, but something must not be right, serious. Jean. What are you saying? My eyes are not on fire, it would be. Then Issei decides to end the training, and then he went to the X-Men base, where he told everything to Professor X where Charles showed concern. Issei. Professor X, what happens because Jean showed his eyes with fire, serious. Professor X. You see, Issei, this is bad since you see there is an entity known as the Dark Phoenix, seriously. Issei. Dark Phoenix, confused. Professor X. You see, over 1,000 years ago there was a powerful entity known as the Dark Phoenix. The Phoenix Force, those with that power were as powerful as gods in their prime, but the main bearer became known as the Dark Phoenix. There is a drawing of her, seriously. And that he shows her a painting of the Dark Phoenix that was identical to Jean. Issei. She is identical to Jean, surprised. Professor X. You see, Issei, the Dark Phoenix was very powerful, and she was in the category of the most powerful, not even the Tragedies beast could defeat her, so the most powerful fought against her, until they finally defeated her and sealed her, seriously. Issei. If they sealed it, how is it that that deity is in Jean's, serious? Professor X. Years ago a group known as the Chaos Brigade released a powerful Dark Phoenix, but the heroes of that time fought against the entity and managed to seal its powers, but they know that it could attack again, so it was decided to seal the entity in Jean, who was a newborn, seriously. Issei. Wow, that reminds me of Naruto when they sealed Kurama in him, remembering the Naruto anime. Professor X. But now the seal is weakening, in a short time the Phoenix will be released, but we do not know if its powers are still sealed, seriously. Issei. We'll find a way to stop her, but in the meantime, we have to keep an eye on Jean to see if the Phoenix is released, and if necessary, we have to seal her, seriously. Professor X. Something tells me this is just the beginning of something big, seriously. And that Issei leaves but remembers that dream where he saw the entity or rather part of its power. If the entity is very dangerous, he must know how to stop it. Now we know about the Dark Phoenix, but we don't know when it will be released and what will happen. See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 16. Peter vs. Razor and Issei vs. Lady Deathstroke. Previously we saw how Issei and Peter had strange dreams where each one sees beings they have never seen before, one was a galaxy and the other a fire entity, but they do not know that they were given certain powers. But when Issei trained with Jean, he felt that someone else was there because when Jean showed fire-colored eyes, it was clear that she was not the same, and when Issei demanded answers from the teacher, he revealed about the Dark Phoenix and that it is sealed in Jean. But as the seal is weakening one day the Dark Phoenix will be released, and that was not good news. Present. Since Issei knows that Jean is the bearer of the Dark Phoenix, he was determined to help her prevent the Phoenix from taking over her, but he must know how to seal in the rest, luckily he knows some magic. Days passed, but now he must go to the underworld because today was the fight between Spider-Man and Razor Phoenix, since he had witnessed how Peter challenged Razor. In the underworld. We see all the patriarchs and matriarchs of clans where Sirzechs Lucifer, the older brother of Rias, is present. Sirzechs. Greetings patriarchs and matriarchs of clans, today is a special day. There will be an interesting fight between the heir of the Phoenix clan, with a superhero known as Spider-Man, smiling. The children scream with excitement because they know who Spider-Man was, since Sirzechs recorded the exploits of the arachnid hero, which is why many children admire and respect him, because he always gets up despite adversity. Sirzechs. On this side we have the heir of the Phoenix clan, many must know him, give a round of applause to Razor Phoenix, seriously. At that Razor makes his entrance where his parents and younger sister would be watching the fight. Razor. Today I'll squash a bug, mockingly. Sirzechs. On this side we have a being who, despite being a human, has extraordinary abilities. Give a round of applause to Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, smiling. And that Spider-Man makes an entrance with his webs, and he had the suit that Professor X had designed for him. The hero looked seriously at the heir of the Phoenix clan. Spider-Man. Today I'm going to make fried chicken, mocking. Sirzechs. This fight will be interesting, prepare yourselves, smiling. At that both warriors look at each other, but although it was not noticeable Peter was serious because he knows that he should not trust at all. Sirzechs. Let the battle begin, excited. At that Razor attacks Spider-Man, but he easily dodges his blows, but at that Spider-Man connects a punch in the face that crashes him into a wall. Razor felt like his jaw was out of place as Peter used a lot of force, but not all of it to deflect his jaw. Razor. How do you have so much strength? Annoyed. Spider-Man. I'm super strong, fried chicken, I alone could stop a speeding train, mockingly. At that Razor gets angry and regenerates his wound and launches a fire attack, but Spider-Man jumps dodging the attack, then Razor launches more fire attacks, but Spider-Man dodges them. Then Razor decides to attack Spider-Man, but connects a blow that crashes him into the wall. Spider-Man. Please, even the Green Goblin hit harder than you, seriously. He then dodges another fire attack, and Spider-Man uses his web to catch him, and then does a spin, plays yo-yo with Razor, and, tired of being humiliated, activates all his power. Then that Razor attacks Spider-Man with everything causing him injuries, and then the arachnid hero receives a powerful attack where he falls to the ground, but he gets up, but Razor attacks him again, wherein that Spider-Man receives fire attacks. Razor. See, you thought you were powerful but you're nothing, ha 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 ha, laughing. But then Razor launches his best attack, and there is an explosion where they don't know what happened. Razor. Victory is mine, arrogant. Everyone thought Spider-Man fell, but at that moment Spider-Man came out of the smoke, but he had a silver aura covering his body. To give you an idea. No one could detect Peter's silver power, and then he screams, and then he throws a punch at Razor causing him to be sent flying, and then Peter flies surprising everyone that he can fly without wings, and then he connects several punches to Razor, but then he throws a Kamehameha attack at him. But the attack was not to kill Razor, since Peter had no intention of killing him. Then that the attack hits the Razor, and he tries to protect himself but fails and receives the attack, and this causes the Razor to suffer a lot. After that, Razor falls to the ground completely wounded and Spider-Man attacks him, but then stops, but at that moment Ravel, Razor's sister, intervenes. Is it Peter? Ravel. Please stop, don't kill him, crying. Peter. Enough is enough, the fight is over, he can't take it anymore, so calm down, seriously. At that point the fight ended and Ravel carried a wounded Razor, and the strange power was deactivated, and Peter fell to the ground but got up with difficulty. Sirzechs. Since Razor can't continue, the winner is Peter Parker, so my sister's engagement to Razor is officially broken, seriously. Peter then gets up as he feels energies that are healing him, but in that he would be knocked down by Rias who was in tears because Peter freed her from an arranged marriage. Rias. Thank you very much Peter-kun, sobbing. Peter. You're welcome, a little tired. Then he rises because he feels more energy, but he had Rias in his arms. Sirzechs. I don't know what that power was, but I couldn't detect it, it must be on another level, surprised. Peter. I didn't even know he had that, well at least Rias is free now, seriously. Sirzechs. By the way, since you defeated Razor, you will be Rias' fiancé, smiling. Peter is shocked by such a response from Sirzechs, but that is when Peter would talk. Peter. I don't know because I'm not ready for that yet, seriously. Sirzechs. So what do you want? Curious. Peter. Nothing, just rest. I don't usually ask for anything in return since I saved Rias because it was the right thing to do, seriously. Sirzechs. Now I understand why children admire you. You are someone wise and with a lot of intelligence and cunning, smiling. After that Peter would be taken to the human world, but they take him to the X-Men base. Later. Issei told how Peter defeated a high-class demon where he also awakened a strange silver-colored power. This surprised Professor X since he had never heard of anything similar. Professor X. I didn't expect that, but well, Peter Issei said that power, even though it couldn't be detected, emanated peace. What did you do to wake it up? Curious. Peter. Well, I just blanked out my mind and then relaxed or something like that, seriously. Issei. Well, I'll go see Jean. See you later, seriously. Then Issei left while Peter stayed to talk to Professor X. Issei went to see Jean where he found her training, but at least there was no indication that the Dark Phoenix was present. Issei. Jean, do you want to do something? Curious. Jean. Of course Issei, smiling. Then the two went to eat something, since Jean had gotten quite hungry from the training he had been doing. Later. Both were in Issei's mansion, but Rossweisse had left since she had to do some business in Asgard, and then Issei and Jean started kissing. Jean. I've been waiting a long time to do this, seductive. Then she went to put on other clothes and when she came back she was wearing tight black clothes. Jean. You like what you see, seductive. Issei turns very red from how daring Jean was, and it was noticeable in Jean's eyes that there was lust. Lemon skipped. When everything was over, Issei and Jean fell asleep from all the fun they had, and Issei seemed satisfied with what he had done. The next day. We see Issei with the X-Men where he is assigned a mission where he has to recover a technology that was stolen by Magneto, and in that Issei will have Quicksilver, Jean and Sarah as companions where they went to said base. Issei wore his yellow suit for the mission. Wolverine. Pay attention because I feel we are not alone, seriously. At that point, everyone was alert in case things got complicated, but then several robots appeared, but Wolverine finished them off with his claws, but then a woman appeared, but she showed some claws. Jean, Yuriko would be. Wolverine. They know her, seriously. Jean. She was my friend when I was a child, but she was kidnapped for experiments, would be. Then that Lady Deathstroke attacks them, but Wolverine with his claws defends himself from Lady Deathstroke's attacks. Lady Deathstroke. You know, I don't know what kind of metal you have, since it seems that it is not adamantium, it would be. Wolverine. Well, I won't tell you, seriously. And that both continue with the fight, but while they fight more robots appear, but Jean and Sarah are in charge of finishing them off, while Pietro looks for the technology that Magneto stole and finds it. Luckily, Magneto was not there. When he left he saw that the fight was still intense, but Lady Deathstroke threw a smoke bomb, blinding everyone, but when everything became clear, Lady Deathstroke had already left. Wolverine. He escaped, well, we already have what we came for, let's get out of here, seriously. Everyone left, although Lady Deathstroke escaped. They already have what they came for. Later. Professor X shows the technology they recovered from Magneto was a capsule to turn humans into mutants. Issei. Why would Magneto steal this, seriously? Professor X. You see, Issei, one of Magneto's plans was to turn humans into mutants because he considers them an inferior race, seriously. Issei. That explains a lot, seriously. Professor X. Now we have to make sure that Magneto doesn't steal this again, seriously. After that Issei went home since he had completed the mission, but he doesn't know that Magneto has other plans. Now Peter freed Rias from an arranged engagement, but Issei had his first encounter with Lady Deathstroke without knowing that something big is coming that will happen. See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 17 Issei has a brother. Previously we saw Peter alias Spider-Man fight against Razor Phoenix, where he showed that he had a special power never seen before, but nobody knew what that power was. But Issei had a day with Jean where both of them ended up having a romantic night, where Jean had been waiting a long time for Issei to make her his present. It was another day in the city of Kuoh, and we see Issei at the X-Men base since that day the academy did not open due to maintenance, and Issei was talking to Professor X. Issei. At least I make sure the Phoenix doesn't break free, serious. Professor X. Well, another thing Issei, you said that Peter awakened a strange power, but unlike the Phoenix you couldn't detect this power, but you felt that the aura was calm, serious and curious. Issei. But I didn't know how much power there was because I couldn't detect that power, but at least it's not the Dark Phoenix, serious. And that he gives an image of what Peter was like with that strange power that was emanating. Professor X. Looks interesting, but at least we know he's not a Dark Phoenix carrier, seriously. Issei. Yes, that's good, smiling. Professor X. But at least that power, even if we can't detect it, we can feel that it is peace, seriously. Issei. Well, there is another mission, drinking a soda. Professor X. Yes, it is to look for one of Magneto's lairs since some time ago they did something called the Weapon X project, seriously. Issei. Weapon X project, curious. Professor X. It is a project in which adamantium was used, it is a strange metal, but we know that many went through that project, but only a few survived, seriously. Issei. I see, serious. After that we see everyone gathered in the room to find out the laboratory where the Weapon X project was carried out. The cult club. We see Rias, but she seemed happy that Peter freed her from the commitment, but she didn't know what power he used, but she asks Kaneko to find out about Peter. Rias. At least he helped me against Razor, relieved. Days. What I found out is that I spied on him before, but as you know, he didn't have an easy life. His parents died when he was a child, and he went through a dark period where his powers were affected, it would be. Rias. I see, it would be. Bekeno. Well, what will you do now? Curious. Rias. Being with my little spider, smiling. After that the girls talk about trivial things. Meanwhile we see Issei, who was with Jean and Aurora, arrived at the laboratory, or rather what is left because it was abandoned. Issei. No one has been here in years, seriously. Aurora. It seems that it is true because no one has been here in 10 years, seriously. Issei then checks the laboratory but finds another room in the laboratory. Issei. It seems that this is where that Weapon X project was carried out, serious. At that moment he realized that something was wrong and he dodged an attack and saw that it was Lady Deathstroke. Lady Deathstroke. Looks like you fell right into our trap, mockingly. In that Toad and Juggernaut come out, who had been released to fight, and in that they fight against the heroes. Wolverine then runs to Juggernaut to fight him. While the others were fighting we see how someone was watching everything. It was Viper who looked at the result with a smile. But then more enemies arrive, but Wolverine can handle them. Viper. I ask him where the spider is, would be. While she continues watching, she decides to retreat to avoid Wolverine seeing her. New York City. We see Peter, who gives some photos to Jameson after taking several photos, but when he finishes Peter receives his payment and surprisingly he saw that there were more times than he was paid. Peter. Wow, Mr. Jameson, I don't know what to say, surprised. Jameson. Okay, Parker, these photos are improving. Okay, you can leave now, seriously. After that Peter left the Daily Bugle and went home since he had worked a lot. The house had a good view because the house was on a hill, but when he returned he decided to watch some television. Luckily, there was no crime that day. But moments later he heard a knock on the door and when he went to check he saw that it was Harry. Peter, what do you want, Harry, seriously? Harry. Peter, I came to apologize for how I treated you. Now I know the truth. My father was that crazy green goblin, seriously. Peter. I was going to tell you but your father asked me not to tell you, but now you know the truth, seriously. Harry. I was an idiot to you, Peter, and I deserved that punch you gave me in the face, sadly. Peter. Harry, I don't blame you. I understood that you were frustrated, but don't feel bad. Uncle Ben once told me that hatred and revenge don't solve anything, seriously. Flashback. We see Peter as a child riding a skateboard, but when he approaches Uncle Ben. Peter, 10 years old. Uncle Ben, one thing, curious. Then Parker. What's happening, Peter, curious. Peter, 10 years old. What do I do since Flash keeps bothering me? What should I do? Sadly. Then Parker. Peter, I understand you, they bothered me when I was a child, but look, Peter, I taught them a lesson, but I learned something that day. You see, hate and revenge are not the way to solve problems. Look, there is something more powerful than pain. Love for your loved ones. Smiling. Peter, 10 years old. And how do you do karate and martial arts? Curious. Then Parker. Peter, karate is for defense and never for revenge, because it's more than fighting, it's about trying to solve things without having to hurt someone, smiling. Peter, 10 years old. Wow, Uncle Ben, how wise you are, surprised. Then Parker. But if you had a fight with a very close friend and this friend starts to hate you and then Peter repents, if he wants your forgiveness, tell him to show it with actions because actions speak louder than words, smiling. Then Peter continues skateboarding, but he learned several things from Uncle Ben that day. End of flashback. Peter. That's why, Harry, I don't hate you because that's not right, but if you want to recover my friendship show it not with words, but with actions, smiling. Harry. Uncle Ben taught you well, but I'll do my best to prove that I want to be your best friend again, determined. Peter. I'm glad, Harry, smiling. Harry. Peter, what's more, I brought you a present, I forgot to give it to you on your birthday, smiling. Then Peter comes out and to his surprise it was a new car. Peter. Harry, I don't know what to say, how did you get it? Surprised. Harry. My dad left me a lot of cars and I want to give you one, smiling. Peter. Oh thanks, Harry, surprised. Then Harry left in another car and left the car he gave to Peter. Issei. This ended the mission, but the villains escaped, but on the good side they got the records of those who were part of the project, but one of the names said. Amy and Hyoudou. Issei. Wait, Hyoudou, that's what it means, surprised. Professor X. Issei, you have a lost brother, seriously. Issei. Now I remember I have a brother named Damien who is my twin and I asked him to escape when we were attacked by the fallen angels. I did it to protect him, seriously. Professor X. But now where is he, seriously? They become thoughtful as they don't know where it is exactly. Unknown location. We see a subject who was a wild looking being, it was Sabretooth. It turns out he is Issei's brother since years ago. After Issei asked him to escape to save himself, Damien wanted to return for Issei, but couldn't find him anywhere. But he was captured by evil mutants led by Colonel Stryker, where he trained him for years, but brainwashed him to serve him, and so Damien became a killing machine. But of course he doesn't act like a savage because he retains his intelligence, but to this day, he doesn't know the truth that his brother has been looking for him. Damien. Now that I'm doing well, I'll go drink some beers, seriously. Then he went to a bar, but of course he changed his clothes so as not to be recognized, and then he went to buy some beers. Damien is bad because, as I said, I was brainwashed. Now it is known that Issei has a brother, but later both brothers will meet. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. Chapter 18. A new villain. Previously we saw how Issei told Professor X everything about what happened in the Spider-Man vs. Razor fight, where he has an unknown power, but no one could detect it. But not only that, but Peter receives a car from Harry. Now Peter will not have to use that small motorcycle he had anymore. But it is also revealed that Issei has a brother named Damien, who turns out to be Sabretooth. Present. After the revelation we see Issei, who was at the X-Men base where he was with Sarah, since they agreed to go on a date. Sarah. Issei, I found out you have a brother. I didn't know that, but what are you going to do? Curious. Issei. Well, I just have to find him, but I don't know how he's going to react when he sees me. Serious. Then they both went to the cinema where they went to see the movie Transformers. The last night. Elsewhere. We see Peter alias Spider-Man, but he was patrolling New York where he prevented several robberies and attempted murders and rapes, but at least now that he no longer thinks about Mary Jane he is at peace. But after arriving at a building he hears some footsteps and saw who was there. She was a woman who looked like Jean, but he knows it's not her. I remember that Professor X told about Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean, and that Madeline looks at Peter. Madeline. Oh, but it's the spider, mockingly. Peter. Who told you about me? Seriously. Madeline. Oh honey, I've been watching you. I saw you fight the Green Goblin and the guy with the mechanical arms, mockingly. Madeline. I see you don't know you are special, and some mutants ask to be with you, but what if you join me, seductive? Peter. Oh, wow, the crazy girl liked it, seriously. He quickly leaves to avoid a fight, but Madeline goes after him, but eventually he manages to lose sight of her by hiding in a river. Issei. After spending time at the X-Men base, he went to a place to train and put on the yellow Wolverine suit. After training, he detects energy from renegade demons, where he went to kill them with his claws, and thanks to his regeneration and speed, he avoided being hurt. But he found out that the fallen angels were planning something, and that they were planning something that involved the sacred swords. The next day. Baze had not gone to the academy, something that worried the Gremory entourage, but Issei noticed this suspicious and went to interrogate Rias, where she tells him the story of Aze, where she was used as a lab rat in a sacred sword project. Issei. So that happened, seriously. After that, Sona and Tsubaki appear to inform them that they had to talk to Rias. Sona. We should talk in private. Come to my house tonight so we can talk where we won't be disturbed. It would be. Rias. So what you have to tell me is important, curious. Sona. If it is something serious, it would be. Issei. Well, I have to go, see you, seriously. Then Issei leaves to be with Rossweisse, where they both leave the academy and chat a little. New York. We see Peter with Wade. Both were sitting in a building since they both had things to talk about, and Peter tells Wade about his meeting with Madeline. Wade. What a joke, you met Jean Grey's sister, surprised. Peter. Wade, now is not the time for your nonsense, seriously. Wade. Come on man, don't be like that, pretending to be offended. Peter. Whatever, but I have a bad feeling, seriously. Wade. Why the hell are you saying that? Confused. Peter. I don't know, but I have a bad feeling, seriously. While they were talking they heard an explosion and went to see what was happening, and there was a monster resembling a rhinoceros. Wade. Looks like a rhino escaped from the mutant zoo, don't you believe it? Looking at the viewer. Spider-Man. Hey, buddy, wow, you look strong, but who are you? Do you have a business card? Seriously. The subject then screams, and the subject speaks with a cold voice. My name is Rhino, now I'll make you into a puree insect, mocking. Spider-Man. Hey, spiders aren't insects, they're arachnids, seriously. Then Rhino went to attack Spider-Man, but he defended himself, and then Deadpool took out some popcorn. Deadpool. Admit that this Rhino is better than the one that appeared in the other Spider-Man. He lifts his mask to eat popcorn. While the hero and villain fight, the arachnid prevents the Rhino from attacking people, as it was throwing cars in any direction. Spider-Man then uses a strategy where Rhino went after him, but Rhino takes advantage of it to grab a damaged light pole where he concentrates his strength and then throws Rhino into a junkyard where they both continue the fight. Deadpool only saw the fight where Rhino connects a blow to Spider-Man, but he manages to stop the fall until he eventually sees an old water tower, where he kicks one of the legs of the tower, causing it to fall on Rhino, knocking him out. When authorities arrived, the Rhino had escaped, but Deadpool showed evidence of the fight. I don't know. We see how Rias along with Akeno, Sona and Tsubaki were in a sauna where Sona realizes that 2 envoys from the church arrived. Rias? So that's what you wanted to talk about, it would be. Sona? Yes, but something else you would say would be. Rias? What's going on? Sona, curious. Sona? What do you feel for that guy Peter, the one who beat Razor? Curious. Rias? He's very cute and he's also someone quite nice and admirable. He showed that despite not being a demon, he managed to put Razor in his place, relieved. Sona? But it intrigues me, that strange power, but I couldn't detect that energy, it would be. Rias? It must be at a level we don't know, it would be. Sona? It could be that, it would be. Akeno? But there's no denying that he's cute, smiling. While they were talking we see how Issei was at home, but the church's envoys arrived, which were his childhood friend Irina and Irina's friend named Zenobia. Issei offered them to stay at his house so they wouldn't be left out in the cold, and they accepted, but Irina wanted to know how Issei had changed in the years they hadn't seen each other. Issei. Well Irina-chan, you should know the truth, I am a mutant, seriously. He tells him everything from the death of his parents until he discovered his mutant origins. Irina. Issei-kun, I'm sorry for everything that happened to you, and I'm so sorry for your parents, sadly. Issei. I appreciate your consolation Irina-chan, but hey, you are Zenobia aren't you, curious? Zenobia. Yes, because curious. Issei. Do you want to eat something since I see that you haven't eaten anything all day, curious? Zenobia nods and so he prepared to prepare dinner, but now Issei knows that the cause of everything could be Gabriel. Issei will plan his revenge against Gabriel because he was the one responsible for his parents dying, because he was responsible for sending those fallen angels to kill him. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 19 Issei vs Gabriel. Previously we saw how Issei spent time with his women, but he also learned about Aiza's past, that she was used as a lab rat in a project with sacred swords. Peter, on the other hand, met Madeline Pryor, and after that he faced a villain named Rhino, a being with the appearance and abilities of a rhinoceros. But there were also envoys from the church where Issei confronts them, and they would stay in Issei's house. Present. After meeting Irina again we see Issei who was talking to Peter, but the arachnid hero tells him about his fight against Rhino. Issei. And I thought Juggernaut was a blockhead, but that Rhino guy is even dumber, seriously. Peter. Silly yes, but strong, serious. Issei. Hey, it's true that you already made it clear to that fool that you don't care anymore, serious and curious. Peter. It was better to let things go so I wouldn't think about it anymore, seriously. Issei. For a young man, at least you learned to leave that girl who caused nothing but problems, seriously. Peter. Yes, well, I have to go back to New York, but I'll see you, smiling. After that he left with a device to open portals that Professor X gave him. Later on. We see Issei with the Gremory entourage as the church's envoys to talk about the fallen angels and that they have to find the person responsible for the sword theft. Then the girls show off their workout clothes. They use their swords and after that Issei would face Irina, but she sees that Issei had a dark suit. Zenobia instead would fight against Miku where she uses a sword that she got in her years of training. Irina. Issei-kun, why don't you have a sword? Confused. Issei. I don't need it because I have this, taking out his claws. Irina was surprised, but then they both had a fight where Issei had a clear advantage. After dodging and attacking, he takes advantage of a distraction to disarm Irina, causing her to drop her sword. Issei. I think I won, seriously. Miku, on the other hand, continues fighting against Zenobia, but then Aiza arrives and, upon seeing the swords, she rushes to fight against Zenobia, but in the end, the blue-haired woman ends up humiliating her. In New York. We see Spider-Man swinging through the street stopping crimes, but eventually he stops at a building, but then he realizes that someone was there and he saw that it was someone he already knew, it was Felicia Hardy alias Black Cat. Peter met her 2 months after the death of the Green Goblin, but she was without her mask because she had taken it off. Spider-Man. Felicia takes off her mask. Felicia. Peter, I found out what happened with that deed, would be. Peter. Seriously how, confused. Felicia. It's obvious, honey. I saw everything from afar, but seriously, she made you suffer a lot, worried. Peter. It was obvious cats are curious, seriously. Felicia. Yes, my love, seductive. Peter. Felicia, you know I already have a girlfriend and it's Anna alias Rogue, seriously. Felicia. I know, but maybe if I talk to her, she'll let me be another of your girlfriends, seductive. Then someone appears, it was Anna who had gone to look for Peter. Anna. I heard everything Felicia, I know you supported Peter through thick and thin, so I agree to share you, but if it's a trick I'll tear you to pieces, seriously. Felicia. I would never hurt our Peter, hugging Peter. After that Felicia kisses Peter on the lips and he accepts, but then Anna kisses Peter, because thanks to the bracelet her power didn't hurt anyone. I don't know. Issei found out that Gabriel was there. He knows that he was the one who ordered the killing of his parents, but after finding Arena wounded, he went to look for Gabriel. He put on black gloves where he used his instincts to track Gabriel, and then he went to the academy where Gabriel was. Gabriel. Wow, so you are a mutant, huh, mockingly. Issei. Damn crew, you killed my parents, now you will pay for everything, cold. Gabriel then uses his magic to summon some beasts, they were Cerberus. One of these went to fight Issei, but in that he would take out his claws ready to fight. Issei. This is getting interesting, daddy, mockingly. At that point, he lunges and digs his claws into one of the Cerberus's heads, but after that, he uses his fighting skills and uses his claws to cut the beast's chest and rips out its heart. The Cerberus falls dead, and while that was happening we see how Gabriel announces that God is dead and Lucifer and the other original mass in the Holy War. Asia and Zenobia were surprised, but the blonde ends up fainting upon learning this, but after that Gabriel uses a magic attack. Then the barrier protects the girls, it was Rossweisse who came to help in the fight. Issei. Hey dumbhead over here, annoyed. Gabriel. Why don't you die, you insignificant insect, annoyed. Issei. I'm not easy to kill daddy, mocking. At that, he puts himself in a fighting stance and then takes out his claws again and looks at Gabriel coldly. Issei. I'm going to break your ass, cold. After that, he launches himself to attack Gabriel where the mutant fights against the cadre where he cuts Gabriel's wings. Gabriel, gritando del dolor. Issei. You like that, daddy, mockingly. Then he went to finish off Gabriel, where he repeatedly stabbed him with his claws until he cut off his head. After that the barrier that Gabriel put up breaks revealing a girl with white armor, it was the hacker Yuiku. Hacker Yuiku, where is Gabriel would? Issei. He's dead, but take the escaped priest from the asylum, serious. At that the hacker Yuiku takes freed, but then the dragons talk and then the girl in white armor leaves. The next day. Zenobia entered Rias' entourage and then Arena said goodbye to Issei with a kiss on the lips and she left with the fragments of the sacred swords. Issei then went to the X-Men base where he says he killed Gabriel. Sarah. That fool deserved it and more because he ordered you to be killed, it would be. Jean. Well, at least that guy is already dead, it would be. Now a threat was eliminated and Issei was finally able to avenge his parents. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 20. Fantastic Four. Previously we saw how Issei was aware that Gabriel was responsible for the theft of sacred swords, but he would wait to take revenge on the cadre for having killed his parents. Also, Peter meets Felicia alias Black Cat, where he sees that she has feelings for him, but Anna accepted her as a second girlfriend. But not only that, but he fights against a Cerberus, but Gabriel announces that God is dead, and from there Issei Matasha to Gabriel. Present. After Issei killed Gabriel, he was now at peace because he managed to avenge the death of his parents, but now he had to find his brother Damien, but he doesn't know where he is exactly. Now we see Issei with his muscles exposed and training. He trains with his claws to become stronger because although Gabriel was not a challenge for him, he knows that other challenges will come. Issei. At least Gabriel won't ruin anyone's life again, but now I must be stronger, seriously. After that he went to see his loved ones where he takes them to lunch in a special place that he knows. New York City. After Peter gains a second girlfriend, we see him at home where he was working on a special serum that cures all diseases, even those that have a cure. After that he sets out to patrol the streets of New York where he stops several robberies, and after that he goes somewhere else. In Oscar Industries. Harry was thoughtful since he discovered the truth that Peter is Spider-Man and that his father tried to kill Peter, he doesn't know what to do, but then he finds something in a cold container. It was the serum that his father was working on. Harry. The serum was hidden, but it's not finished, that's why Dad went crazy, seriously. He then set about improving the serum until he eventually managed to perfect the growth enhancer and then decided to use it on himself. After that he works in a suit in several suits, only one is the same as his father's suit. Harry. I should give myself a name for this suit, I know Hobgoblin, seriously. He tested the new glider and saw that it was quite fast and in that case, it went at very high speeds. On Spider-Man. He was swinging through the city, but then he stopped and saw something strange, and it was a guy with a suit like the Green Goblin, but he saw that he had a tail with a stinger like a scorpion. Spider-Man. Who is this? His suit reminds me of the Green Goblin, confused. Wow, but it is the Spider, mockingly. Spider-Man. Who are you and why do you look like the Green Goblin? Seriously. They know me by many names, but my name is Scorpion now I'll crush you insect, mocking. In that, the Scorpion uses his tail to try to crush Spider-Man, but he dodges the attacks, and after that, the hero throws some cobwebs at him to dodge his enemy's attacks. Scorpion. I see you are agile Spider, mocking. Then the attack continues and continues, but in that Scorpion throws a car against some children who were playing, but Spider-Man went to save them, and with his webs, he manages to prevent the car from hurting the children. Scorpion took advantage to then escape and Spider-Man notices that the villain escaped, but then he sees that he dropped something, and it was a strange disc. Spider-Man takes it, and then he goes to Harry's house to talk, where he gives him the disc. Harry puts it in the DVD player he had in the living room, and it shows some videos of Oscar when Norman was alive, but in that you see a guy talking to Norman. Harry. Who is he? I don't remember seeing him, but it seems my father knows him, seriously. The video also shows that it was that guy who was working on a special Scorpion-themed suit inspired by the exoskeleton that Norman designed, but then the video ends. Peter. I understand that guy knew your father, seriously. Harry. Yes, but Dad didn't mention anything about him to me, seriously. But then Bernard, Harry's butler, comes in to talk, but he realizes who the subject of the video is. Bernard. It's MacDonald Gargan, seriously. Harry. Bernard, you know him, seriously. Bernard. You see sir, a long time ago when your father was alive he met MacDonald Gargan, a recent college graduate. He worked at Oscorp many years ago when you young Harry was studying elementary school, but a few years later when your father built the glider and the suit he discovered that Mr. Gargan worked for Quest Aerospace and sent information about Oscorp projects to the Quest Aerospace company, and Norman enraged fired him and showed the world Gargan's double face, but Mr. Gargan said that one day the company would be destroyed for what he did, but he took the Scorpion suit the night your father decided to use the development enhancer, seriously. Peter. So he's a former Oscorp employee, seriously. Harry. This is bad, what does that guy want? He must already know that Dad is dead, seriously. Peter. I don't know Harry, this doesn't smell good, seriously. While they were talking we returned with Issei who was with the girls, but he would talk to Rossweisse, Gabriel and the mutants to take them to the beach, it was a well-deserved rest. Issei. Girls, I've organized a trip to the beach. Do you want to come? Smiling slightly. The girls get excited and then Issei went to prepare things to carry out the trip on the beach where the girls were already dressed. Elsewhere. We see a group of 4 people, these were the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards, the brothers Susan and Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. They were decent, at least not like the 2015 ones, but I really like the 2025 ones. The group went to the X-Men base to talk to Charles Xavier aka Professor X. They arrived at the X-Men mansion where Quicksilver sees them and lets them in because he knows what they came for. Then they arrive at the main hall where Professor X was having a cup of coffee. Professor X. Oh Reed, Sue, Johnny and Ben, how are you? Smiling. Reed. Hello Professor, how are you? Curious. Professor X. Well Reed, by the way, how did your space mission go? Curious. Reed. We did well, smiling. Susan. What did we miss? Curious. Professor X. I have another ally who doesn't hate us and that's Spider-Man, smiling. Johnny. I knew the spider was cool, smiling. Ben. You're talking about the one with spider powers, curious. Johnny. And what did he do, curious. Professor X. By the way, Magneto is back, seriously. Reed. Magneto really, surprised. Susan. Seriously, he never gets tired, seriously. Professor X. I don't know either, Susan, seriously. Johnny. I'll go say hello to my friend the spider, smiling. Then he goes out to visit his spider friend and then he jumps and screams. Johnny. You call me, ignites into fire. Then he flies off to see Peter to see what he's doing since they've both been best friends for a long time. Reed. By the way, I still remember when Peter visited us, smiling. Susan. If that was after that crazy goblin died, it would be. Then. Hey professor, is there a place to eat? I'm hungry, seriously. Teacher. Pietro takes our guest to eat, smiling. Pietro nods and went to take Ben to the dining room to get him something to eat and then Reed and Susan talk a little. Later. The Fantastic Four were touring the area, but then they discovered something thanks to the computer that their flying car had. Reed. Looks like there was another mutant while we were gone, seriously. Susan. If his name is Issei Hyoudou, it would be. Johnny. The spider told me about him and that he lost his parents and has claw powers. They should call him Wolverine, mockingly. Then. Well, we'll go visit him and get to know him, curious. Read. If I wanted to ask you a few questions, seriously. Then they went to where Issei was, but they don't know that Issei and his girls are on the beach. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Chapter 21 The Dark Phoenix Part 1. Previously we saw how Issei trained to be stronger, and while that was happening, Peter's friend Harry gets the Green Goblin serum. But then a villain known as Scorpion appears, who is a former Oscorp employee seeking revenge against the company. It was also shown that there is another team of heroes known as the Fantastic Four, who were allies of the X-Men. Present. It was another day at Kuo Academy and it was Parents' Day, but when they arrived at the mechanics and carpentry class, Issei was there to evaluate the students' projects, where many managed to make furniture and others some wooden toys. Issei. Well done, those who did the best projects have a good grade and extra credit, writing down the grades. After that he went to a salon because he saw a scandal and saw a girl who seemed older than him, but she seems the other way around. Issei. Miss, what are you doing? Confused. How bad you are, Issei moo, pouting. Issei. Sorry, I know you, seriously. I'm Sirafal, don't you remember me? Sad. Issei. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've seen you, seriously. Sirafal. Issei, do you remember when we played together when you were little? Curious. Issei. I remember now, you're the girl who played with me when I wasn't training with the Nordics, but now I remember everything, surprised. Sirafal gives Issei a hug, he is surprised but accepts the hug, and while that was happening, Sona appears to see what is happening and meets her sister, but Sirafal surrounds Sona. Sona. What are you doing here sister, would be. Issei. Wait Sirafal, she is your sister, surprised. Sirafal. Yes, Sona-chan is my little sister, smiling. Sona. Sister, don't say that in public, it would be. After that the day passes, but we see Rias Zeodicus Gremory's father who was looking for the one who defeated Razor. Zeodicus. Daughter, do you know where the young man who defeated Razor is? Curious. Rias. He must be busy being a superhero, smiling. Zeodicus. And where is it, curious. Rias. He must be in New York, smiling. Zeodicus. Let's go there, smiling. While they were talking we see Peter who was swinging around the city in his Spider-Man suit. He sees a burning building and goes in to rescue the trapped people and then gets them out before the fire gets worse. Spider-Man left and after that he went somewhere else where he arrives at a building and takes off his mask. Peter. At least no one got hurt in that fire, seriously. But then a magic circle appears where Rias and her father come out and Peter is surprised by this. Rias. Peter-kun, hugging Peter. Zeodicus. Hello, how are you doing, young Parker, curious. Peter. I'm doing well and from what I see you are Ria's father, surprised. Zeodicus. Yes, I am Zeodicus Gremory, I wanted to meet the hero who saved my daughter, smiling. Peter. Oh it's an honor to meet you, smiling. Zeodicus. I see you were doing your hero work, well how about we go to your house to talk, smiling. Peter. It's okay, smiling. Then they went to Peter's house using a magic circle, but after that they went to Peter's house where they would talk a little, but Peter now has more formal clothes to talk. Rias. Peter-kun how did it go, curious. Peter. Pretty good, but at least my life is getting better, smiling. Zeodicus. Hey Peter, since when are you a hero? Curious. Peter. 2 years ago, but you see my life wasn't easy, I lost my parents when I was a child, I was bitten by the spider that gave me my powers, but for using them irresponsibly my uncle Ben died and he told me the phrase with great power comes great responsibility, remembering the past. Zeodicus. That's harsh, but I see you're moving forward, surprised. Peter. Despite adversity, the important thing is to never give up, seriously. While they were talking we see Issei at the X-Men base where he was learning that there is a villain stealing a mine and he has to go stop him. Issei went to put on his suit to fight and then went to the place where he sees who was there and it was Magneto. Magneto. Wow, so you're here, mockingly. Wolverine. Magneto, you're going to pay for humiliating me, seriously. And that Magneto uses his powers where he throws several abandoned cars around. But Wolverine dodges the attacks and then takes the opportunity to kick Magneto in the butt. Then both have a fairly even fight, but Magneto tries to take what he had stolen, but it was useless, and Wolverine digs his claws into his stomach. Magneto. Ah, screaming in pain. Magneto, with no other option, decided to escape, and Wolverine recovered what Magneto had stolen, which was a strange giant diamond. Wolverine. It's the size of a motorcycle helmet, seriously. He was about to hand over the diamond, but it emanates energy, and he decides to take the diamond to see what it has to make it shine so much. Later. The diamond was in the laboratory at the X-Men base, and Professor X sees the results when he finishes analyzing what the diamond has, but Charles came to a conclusion. Professor X. Issei, this diamond has enormous power but is also dangerous. In the wrong hands it will be a weapon of mass destruction. Thank goodness you took it from Magneto, seriously. Issei. I see, serious. After completing the mission, he went home but found out that the faction meeting was coming up this weekend. One day Rias went to free his other bishop, where he apparently saw a girl, but in reality it was a boy. Issei. Although he looks like a girl, I know he's a boy, my sense of smell never fails, seriously. Rias. I want you to help Gasper control his sacred gear, smiling. Everyone tries to help Gasper, but nothing works and Issei then talks to him telling him his past. Issei. You're not the only one scared Gasper, as you'll see, mutants are hated by humans since they fear us, but look Gasper, we mutants seek to make humans not fear us, but look, I was quite scared when I was a child before my parents died, seriously. Gasper? Are you serious? Surprised. Issei. Yes, well Gasper, I'm also afraid of losing control and using my power for evil, but if I train, I won't go crazy with power, that's why I'll help you master your power, seriously. After that, Gasper and Issei talk a lot and he treats the little vampire as if he were his little brother. Han Miku. She was walking down the street but then she felt a lot of pain and saw an albino girl with blue eyes. Miku. Wait because my arm hurts when I'm near you, it would be. Oh where are my manners, my name is Valerie, I am the White Empress Dragon, mocking. Miku. The White Dragon, the rival who spoke to me about me, would be. Valerie. That's right, darling, but look, I didn't come to fight, I came to see if you were going to the faction meeting, curious. Miku. Of course I'll go, it would be. Valerie. Well, I have to go. I'm looking forward to our fight, mockingly. After that the albino leaves but Miku felt distrust with the albino girl, but then she went home. Later on. The day of the faction meeting arrived, on behalf of the angels were Michael and his sister Gabriel, along with Irina. On the side of the fallen angels were Azazel, the Penemu cadre and Valerie. On the part of the demons were Rias and Sona with their respective retinues, but also Sirzechs and Seraphol, but only the mutants were missing. Then Professor X would arrive with his allies the X-Men, since Issei being a mutant had to be there, but there was also Peter who although he is not a mutant, he was an ally of the team. Sirzechs. Let's start this meeting, smiling. Azazel. I understand that young Issei is a mutant, isn't he? Curious. Issei. I found out the hard way since some fallen angels were sent by Gabriel to kill me, seriously. Michael. I'm sorry to hear that young Issei, sadly. Azazel. And a question he asks here, pointing at Peter. Sirzechs. He is an ally of ours, but he has a power that is strange, but we don't know what power it is, smiling. After that the meeting continues on its course until eventually they ask the dragons if they want peace or war. Valerie. As long as I can fight with strong beings, I choose peace, mockingly. Miku. I choose peace, smiling. But in that time stops but some did not stay frozen, but in that they notice something outside. Azazel. It seems the little vampire was captured, seriously. After that, the battle against the sorcerers takes place, but the X-Men also help, but then Kateria Leviathan appears. She was going to launch herself at Azazel, but someone intervened and it was the mutant Emma Frost. Emma. I'll take care of her, would be. In that both fight but eventually when they manage to free Gasper and Kaneko, it is revealed that Valerie attacked Azazel and she reveals herself to be Lucifer's great-granddaughter. She launches an attack against Peter and there was an explosion, but when everything is cleared Peter is seen again with Ultra Instinct. Many looked in amazement as Peter had a different power and that he used his powers to fight against some beings that were coming, these were elemental monsters. Issei on the other hand was fighting against several monsters that appeared, but in that he noticed something strange in Jean, and it was that an intense fire was covering her, but a monster summoned by the sorcerers attacks her, but in that Jean is covered in fire, wherein that her suit turns dark red and a symbol appears on her chest, but her eyes were on fire. Professor X. This is bad, the Phoenix is free, seriously. Phoenix. Finally after many years I'm finally free ha 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 ha, laughing. Issei. Jean is it you, worried? Phoenix. I'm not Jean Grey, I'm Dark Phoenix, throwing a flare. In that Issei dodges attacks and Phoenix began to attack and in that Issei takes out his claws to fight against Phoenix. Issei. This is going to get ugly, seriously. In that, everyone looks at the powerful entity that possesses Jean. This was quite bad, but they will manage to stop it. What will happen? See it in the next chapter. End of chapter. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.